Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. And also, good morning to those folks out on the West Coast. Let's see. I am using the wrong microphone. Let's get that fixed up. Where are we? Zoom 4. All right. Now, let's see if you can still hear me. Let's turn on the chat. It's been quite a week. We've got a bunch of articles from Dan and Marcus and Omar. Robert Williams sent me a bunch of stuff, but I haven't looked at his yet, so I'll be doing that while we do all of this. And I found some of my own. It's been quite a week. It's been very, very busy. And just took some over-the-counter medicine. My back has been acting up all week as well. So let's get started. Let's see who's here. Now let's start with the articles. Where did I put them? I put them across like 3, 4, or 5 windows because why not? Stand by. Let me do this. And there we go. We've got a bulk of them right here. That's a good place to start working from. Let's start with raw materials for batteries. Let's do share screen. Yes. And let's get into Blogger Reacts view. There. Okay. Let's see. We got this going. Now, so Tesla has started touring a graphite mine with and plant in Quebec. It's like Elon keeps saying, first principles. You want to look at how everything is done from scratch, and the more raw materials you get your hands on in today's climate, the easier it is to get your job done. So, looks like the Nouveau Monday. Developing a graphite mine in Quebec, and they'll have the capacity to supply anode making materials to battery manufacturers, and they claim to own the largest mine deposit in North America. Not bad. All right, so moving on, let's see if we have a switch tab button this week. I just did a browser update. No switch tab button, of course, because why? We talked about Tesla's semi service last week for the semi truck, not to say anything about their service capability. And now we're going to skip talking about their app. We talked about the Tesla China plant coming up on strong. And then our friend Patrick, he made an article on carsaccords.net. So let's take a look at that. There's the article. And let's put it on the screen here. There we go. So he was asking what could be going on with X.com, remembering that this was kind of what Elon was getting ready to do before PayPal got sold. And the what PayPal became didn't exactly become the vision of the PayPal mafia. Let's see, what'd you say there, Eddie? This is when battery recycling becomes more important. Yes, absolutely. Battery recycling is going to be important from here on out. There's no matter how much difficulty they have in extracting the minerals from the recycled material, it is still so much cheaper and so much more energy efficient to mine your metals and minerals from old battery packs than it is to get it from raw material. It's unfathomable. Like you could have like a material the size of your fist here, and you could have like a whole several truckloads, and then you still have to process it. You had to dig it up, everything, and versus uh, at least the way the redwood does it. You get the material, you freeze it, and then you kind of like uh, kind of like distilling oil. You kind of get to the fractionated distillery, and you can pick off a lot of the minerals that way based on their whether they sink or float at what density, their boiling point, their melting point, those sorts of things. Versus having to do it all from scratch with just dirt and rocks. It's no competition. So Patrick wrote a really good article, and I pointed out. Let's read my post. um, I was concerned about um, the illegitimate accounts. Mm, Patrick had pointed out that if X.com becomes kind of the way you pay for these news articles, where they have the paywalls or just person to person, like PayPal was originally going to be, it kind of is with emails and phone numbers, but uh, with Dogecoin and stuff like that, it would be a little more of Elon's vision in the modern era. Like everybody's got smartphones now. Back then, you might have had a PDA and you'd have to go sync it with the computer every day. And then times have changed a little bit. And the other thing I was concerned with was with his um, free speech absolutism on the if he started up his own social media. Uh, and I pointed out that he didn't like the teen who was tracking his jet, and I pointed out last week that or a week before, that he snipped at the beta tester who criticized them in public after begging for early access. And let's see, Patrick says great points, but no one wants to be in a room full of a bunch of yelling idiots or spam bots. I agree. Finding the right balance is hard. Users will need good tools to filter, block, and moderate. I've never wanted to run something like this. It's impossible to do right. It's only measured in degrees of least bad options. Absolutely. Which, if he is able to get this whole Twitter thing done, that would explain that. It gives you a leg up. You don't have to start from scratch, and we'll see how it all plays out. It'll be interesting to watch whether he does it with Twitter as a base or if he does it from scratch. Let's see. I'm gonna read this one later. It's a it's a wall of text. Let's go on to the next one for now. That's a YouTube video. That's not a YouTube video in relation to what we're talking about. Um, let's see. This one was found by my friend Georgia, and she was. Well, I don't want to put it in this window, do I? Let me duplicate this. There. All right. She was pointing out that you've got a lot of companies. Well, she and Bloomberg were both pointing out that you've got a lot of companies now that are coming home and starting to uh, seriously ramp up their production capabilities in the U.S. Between the political pressure, between just common sense that hey, if you want to sell in the market and the market's all messed up with transportation and logistics, that you got to bring logistics a little closer to home. And that kind of the reason I picked this one up is I made the comment last week about how BYD was complaining that they don't qualify for the tariffs, or not the tariffs. Sorry, they do qualify for tariffs. That's the problem. They don't qualify for their customers to receive rebates for the EVs that are sold in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So my quip was, hey, if you want to qualify, just build them here. Just follow the program, and then you're fine. Uh, or you can do what drawing a blank on the company's name right now. But they said what they're going to do instead is just lower their prices to make sure that if they don't qualify, that their customers still get uh, that amount of purchasing power back from the system, which is a good short term solution. But if you're almost $10,000 in the hole on every unit, that does make it hard to continue to do business at the level that they want to do, unless they also would get some sort of uh, carbon credits for selling EVs into the market, and then they don't have to worry about as much gas cars. But I don't I don't think that the company I'm thinking of. I think they were all EV. So small strategy cutting. All right, so let me pop that article in the chat for you guys so you can read on it. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, so next up, we've got to change windows because, as usual, I scatter stuff all over the place. All right, so we'll copy this one. This one is coming from one of the guys. German regulators are looking to further limit autopilot features in an ongoing investigation. Let's react to this. Automated exits were removed from autopilot a few months ago. This might not be good enough. Yeah, so they went from like what you'll see on Navigate on Autopilot with enhanced autopilot and full self drive packages in North America is when you're in auto steer and Navigate on Autopilot is turned on. Say it's time to change highways. The car will, if it's in the right lane, far right or the far left, wherever the exit happens to be. I don't think I've ever seen a center exit. Either way, wherever the exit is, the car will, if it's in the adjacent lane, it'll just take the exit and there you go. So if you need to get off the highway, it's taking the exit, and if you have the FSD beta, then it'll start navigating the city streets. If you have FSD, then it will just continue to drive in the lane, obeying the stoplights and stop signs. If you have enhanced autopilot, it will take the exit and stop at the off ramp. And if you need to change highways, it'll just change highways and then continue to drive along, which is really cool. However, because the folks in Germany were complaining, and obviously not the customers, but whoever is tattling to these regulators or the regulators themselves, they got to the point where they had to rewind the capabilities of the system. So it went back to like when this version of autopilot first came through, you had to confirm with the stock. So on my car, you would pull in on the cruise control stock. On a Model 3 or Model Y, you'd push down, and on the new cars, you got to push the autopilot button, which is just ridiculous. Um, because they were saying that the car was making unexpected changes. It's I don't know what's unexpected about it. There's a big message on the screen. Hey, I'm about to change lanes. It's on your maps. Like, hey, you need to go from 95 to 495 or 75 to 77. I don't. Those don't connect because they're both this way. But um, so now they're back to what 2.5, 3 years ago, where you had to confirm each of those with a button push. The reason that we were confirming them before was just because it was still in like uh, fresh out of Tesla internal test beta straight into the customer facing, and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to do anything that spooked you. But after a couple months of that, has a chime, it has a steering wheel vibrate, it has a message on screen. You can turn off the chime and the steering wheel vibrate, which I did after 'cause FSC doesn't do that, and I didn't like the different modes, and so at that point, the customers became accustomed to what was going on. Tesla was confident that it would rarely mess up. Um, I had an incident, instance, a period here where, like, if I was going on whatever road, it wanted to get on Fairfax Parkway, and it wanted to get on 66 East. It would actually get on 66 West instead, but it gave me messages. I could see that it was going to mess it up. The first time, I thought maybe I'm wrong. There's a lot of construction going over there, so I let it do its thing. It got on the road. It's like, hey, you made a wrong turn. You got to get off and turn around here. So after that, I was like, yeah, you don't know the difference between east and west on this road. It does now. I still kind of like as I get to the road, I'm like, do I need to take over and teach it east from west? No, I don't need to anymore. But it's, this went on for way too long. It was like 6 months, and it was not a surprise that the car was going to do this. The signal comes on, it sits there blinking, waiting for you to make like you don't know, at least on my car anyway. You don't just keep the pressure on the wheel. You actually have to change the pressure on the wheel, which I think is ridiculous. Because if I have to do this, why am I not just pulling the switch? Huh? Uh, but anyway, car changes in the correct lane and then moves over, and then it it does this thing. But in Germany, they've rewound it back to 2020 or no, not even 2020, 2018, 2019. Let's call it 2019. And they can't catch a break over there. They like all of Europe, the ability for the car to handle certain turns was nerfed. Like it used to be able to, as long as it's not too sharp of a turn, it would just follow the lines. Now it pretends that it's too sharp of a turn. It just lets go, gives up over there. I mean, you guys get the cool stuff like not having to have mirrors and some actual decent headlights, but we get all the cool high tech AI stuff. It's a shame that you can't have one region that's got everything in it. Um, and I have the regulators just being too slow on stuff in certain areas. Uh, Good evening, Anders. Good evening from Stockholm. And Eddie says, in rural areas, GPSs are much less than accurate. I don't know necessarily it's the GPS. The GPS is great. It's the it's the maps, the routing, the navigation. So I just had a map update a couple weeks ago. I told you guys about that. It didn't change anything that I noticed, but the previous map update messed up a couple speed limits for me. Like they were way lower than they needed to be. But overall, the car's been doing great as far as uh, making less wrong turns. It's actually got a lot of stuff that's been changed for construction is in there. Um, the two fake traffic lights at the end of my street are still in there, but FSD has been doing a decent job of not stopping every time for the stoplights that don't exist. It still messes up sometimes. Hopefully, with this new rollout that Elon said was going out, Elon can't read a clock or a calendar. If he needed to do that to save his life, he would be in trouble. But apparently, some people got like two people that are in the tracking group got it last night. Um, but anyway, all that to say that the GPS is pretty good. It's the navigation that's a problem for most people. And in the age of the cell phone, it's a little easier because the maps tend to keep themselves up to date. But in cars, in particular, it tends to not be as nice because for the traditional cars, you'll have to insert a SD card or DVD or a bunch of CDs. I think they're off the CDs by now. Some cars like have OnStar, for instance, so you can stream it over the air. But I think even they still kind of sit down and download to a local database when they're idle. But that was a huge part of the problem why like you'd see people have a GPS that says, "Hey, just go drive off this freeway off ramp that is not finished yet or has been demolished," because people weren't updating their maps. Most of the stories I heard for that were people were trying to use maps that were a year or two, 3 years old. But that's that. Let's see what else Germany has done to this system here. They criticized automated lane change on exits and fork maneuvers, which are not legal under UNECE regulations. Um, that's ridiculous. Navigating Autopilot has been updated to require driver-initiated requests before the vehicle will select a motorway exit or interchange. The driver-initiated request can be made by using the turn signal stalk. I am beeping. Why am I beeping? Stand by. Right, I'll deal with that later. That seems important. Um, let's see. Use the turn signal stalk shortly before the maneuver is required. Please remain attentive and ready to initiate these maneuvers to remain on the navigation route. The update serves as a remedy to a non-compliance recall. Yeah, I mean that also is a recall. I mean, if the car is breaking the law, that and you get a software update, yeah, that's a recall. But again, just like we keep saying, Omar, Dan, and I especially, that is that really a recall? We need another word for that legally and definition wise. That way, people can understand the severity. Like to me, a software recall, would be a stop driving event. Like, hey, don't drive the car until you get this update, or anything like that. Like a super severe software update, or something I have to go into the store for. If I don't have to go in for the store and it's just like a minor inconvenience or a security patch or um, like a regular security patch, not like, "Hey, we're actively being hacked." I think that that needs another word, another softer word that tells you, "Hey, you know, when you get to work or when you get home, push this button." Versus the recall has a connotation in your mind. It's meant something for so long, uh, that that you have this notion in your head. I got to go somewhere and do something. It's very urgent. It's very important. Um, and just now in today's world, it's just not always the case. Like, and I'm not saying just with Tesla, just with Rivian and Lucid and all these other modern car brands. I'm saying even with the traditional, um, like Ford. Ford had some updates the other day that actually made some stuff better that didn't have to be installed by the dealer. It still would have had to be classed as a recall. It's just, but again, like I was saying, the regulators are just too slow over across the pond. You guys can't have any cool AI stuff, and over here we can't have anything that lets us see better. Thanks to them trying to get Mr. Tucker out of business. We can't have, like, he had the Cyclops headlight, and that was when they started cracking down on headlights and the mirrors. They've been always been sticklers about mirrors. Don't get me started on those. All right, where are we at now? Moving on from them. This one, I don't want to use that source. We'll come back to it if I have to. Here we go. All right, so Clean Technica is reporting that California has approved Tesla's plan to add supercharger sites to rural areas. Speaking of rural areas, there, Eddie. Um, let's see. Okay, this is the same one I think it is. So I've got this article elsewhere. So if you see me pull it up again and not catch it, remind me. Um, So the California Energy Commission has approved Tesla's proposal to make new supercharger facilities in four rural communities. They are going to be at $1.6 million from the CEC's Clean Transportation Rural Electric Vehicle Charging Program, or GFO-21-604. Um, in order to qualify the grants, they had to agree to make half of the chargers in each location compliant with CCS. Aha! So now we get to see how Tesla plans to do CCS in North America. I suspect that if they don't do any of the fancy stuff we saw in the patents, that it'll be just like the destination chargers, where just half of them are JC1772 on a Tesla connector. We might see exactly that. We might see supercharger pedestals that have CCS handles on them, just like they have in Europe, but with our North American plug. And then you still have to use the app to make it work. And I guess if you have an adapter and it's a Tesla, it'll just automatically work. I'm assuming. I don't know. Uh, or if they were far enough along and then this money covers that and the software is ready and the hardware is ready, then we get to see whatever cool stuff that Tesla was planning to do to make stations work with both the TSLA-2 connector and the CCS1 connector. Nerdism. All right, so let's see. So they have to have CCS. Yes. Most manufacturers not called Tesla that sell in California do that. Yes, that's one way to put it. I actually would like to see the megawatt charging system on all vehicles with large enough battery to handle it, and then you don't have to worry about this. Like Europe, ocean, uh, North America, South America, wherever, they'll just have one connector worldwide. Now, obviously, you don't want to put a megawatt charger on a Nissan Leaf or Chevy Bolt. You know, just fry the pack. I don't know how deep down they can throttle these things, because if you're assuming that each of the battery packs is 300 to a mega 300 kilowatts to a megawatt hour, uh, how deep are you going to let those things throttle down? That's a question. Like these batteries behind me here, they can charge on EV plug and J1772 or the Type 2 Menkes plug. And somebody was asking, well, why can't they use CCS? It would be so much better because it's already DC. It runs at 48 volts. Blah blah blah. Question is, can CCS dial down to 48 volts, and can it dial down to the 3 kilowatts to 6 kilowatts max that thing could take? And if it can, is it worth designing that into enough stations to make that a viable charging paradigm for those things. Maybe not. But I like the idea of just one plug for everything. Like if you say, "Oh, why doesn't Tesla use a standard?" Well, J1772 came out after the Model S came out. Like, did not exist, and then the Model S came out, and for the Model S was designed. It came with the adapter plug. My Volt came out shortly before it. The Leaf came out shortly before it. They already had J1772 on board. But if Tesla had waited to make the Model S for the plug to be finished, they would have gone bankrupt, which folks are suggesting that they probably did that on purpose, because they were just one small player, and they were in on the system and the standard, but where they were at the time, they couldn't have swung anything, so they just had to go by what was out there, and they made it electrically compatible, they made it signals compatible, but it just wasn't ready, it wasn't finalized, and they had to have the car on the streets. So they made the Tesla 2 connector. Tesla 1 connector is the one that was on the Roadster. They made the Tesla 2 connector. They started, get the cars through the system, and then by the time the first one hit the road, you got the little adapter puck. So all that to say that when people are saying, "Oh, everybody's using a standard," there's one standard. It's not exactly. There are two AC charging standards. There's J1772, and there's Type 2, and the pins are all different. They're about the same size. The Type 2 is actually a little bit bigger. And then there is CCS1 and CCS2 and Shadowmo and the Chinese thing. Uh, they're all about the same size, but they all have different pin arrangements. And the cool thing about MCS2 and MCS1 is that the megawatt charging system uh, 2 and 3 uh, it's the same connector worldwide, which I think is pretty cool and I like it. All right, so that one is spam, so I can ignore that beep. Um, so let's see. In Baker, they're going to have a 56 charger expansion for $4 million. In Willows, they're going to have a 100 supercharger facility in. It's going to be $6 million. Barstow is going to add another 100 supercharger facility for 4.5 million, and Kalinga is adding 164 superchargers. There are already 98 at the Harris Ranch, so this may be an expansion of that facility. $8 million. All right, so if if they just add to the 98, the 164 would make it the largest supercharger site in the world. If they drop this one as it is, that would also make it the largest supercharger site in the world. If they just add another 164 nearby, that's incredible. Uh, we keep saying we don't need lots and lots of DC fast charging in the grand scheme of things, but it is still appreciated. It makes your trips easier, it makes it faster. Um, yes, all we need is level 2 everywhere because cars sit for so much, but to actually take road trips, you can't rely on level 2 for road trips if you want to get it done in any reasonable amount of time. So they've got the major routes covered, and what I'd like to see is see the other charging providers either just subcontract their stuff to Tesla or learn something from them from their open patents as far as making sure their stuff is reliable. Um, I've seen a lot of people who say that I've never had a problem with EA, but as we talked about with their last earnings call, when 42% of your charging sessions start with a phone call because the user tried it self-service and it didn't work, you've done something wrong. And when your business is a charging provider, that's all you do is provide charging, you got to do a lot better than that. Eddie says Baker's and Barstow makes LA Vegas trip easier. Absolutely, yeah. I'm not saying that we don't want more. I'm just saying the focus right now should be on spreading more level 2 connectors. But in order to enable easy, just like for everybody else to just do like we do, like what was it last week, week before, where I just jumped in the car and went to South Dakota and came back in a weekend. I didn't plan any of it. Like the closest I did to a plan was I punched in on Google Maps to see how long it would take without any fueling, and I said, okay, that's not unreasonable. It's not fun, but it's not unreasonable. Then I went over to a better route planner and said, "All right, can it be done?" And it said, "Oh yeah, it's only going to add an additional 2 or 3 hours of charging if you do it our way," which would have been fine if I if I wasn't driving by myself or if I'd stop for the night. And from there, I didn't actually even really use their deal. I just went into the car, and while I was feeling awake and alert, I would just whenever the car started to slow down on its charge rate, I would unplug it and just start driving. And the car's like, "Hey, you're not gonna make it. We need to stop over here first." And then I'd wait till it got low, plug it in, and then when the car started complaining that we wouldn't make it, plug in again. And that kind of experience, like I didn't notice that a lot of the folks who don't have Teslas don't enjoy that, or if they are driving in zones that do have that, they have this a little bit of just anxiety under the surface of when I get there, is there going to be one working charger, and is that one working charger going to be occupied or not? That is a terrible feeling, and the closest I ever came to that, aside from my very first hurricane evacuation, I didn't know what to expect in the Tesla. I was like, "Is everybody gonna be the road?" And it turns out, no. Just like going to work, everybody doesn't leave at the same time. Everybody evacuated at different times, and the only time I had to wait on a supercharger was coming back from the evacuation for Hurricane Florence, where we picked up or dropped off Fonda and picked up Tachikoma, the Model S and the Model X. Um, that one I had to wait for 10 minutes because one of the cabinets was down, which meant that two stalls were down at the Savannah airport. So after my little 10-minute delay waiting for the it would have been 0 minutes delay if both stalls were working, but they weren't. So after my little 10-minute stop, I plugged in. The person behind me had to wait 10 minutes, just like everybody else, and picked up right on my way. That was the only time I ever actually had to wait, and I think this we've done 3 evacuations now. But that was the closest I came to feeling that feeling of, like, anticipation or is it gonna work or whatever. Uh, the only other time I had something seriously like that was, I was in Colombia at the time, I was driving a Prius, and, there was a pipeline cut or outage or whatever reason, there was no gas coming into Colombia, and, all the stations around were running out of gas. I managed to run out of gas in my Prius. I was hypermiling the mess out of it. But I was coming down an exit. I was like, there was a gas station. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna try this gas station. Like before I get to the end of the off ramp, dash lights up like a Christmas tree because I ran out of fuel. It's running on the 12 volt. It's running on the high voltage battery, and thankfully I just accelerated from the freeway, so there was enough charge in there for me to leave. Wait for the light to cycle, and then take the turn. Just come coasting into the gas station, and I was able to get gas. That's kind of what I think it feels like to have the anticipation at these Electrify America, ChargePoint, whoever. Is it going to work when I get there? And that's not how it should be. And we have another story about a guy who sold his car for reasons, and that plays into it. Let's see. David says manual intervention for each charge is costly. It must be killing the business model. Exactly, because now you either have to keep a larger than required phone center staff, or you gotta customers waiting on hold. And if I had to wait on hold for 10 minutes every time I wanted to charge, I'm not saying it will take 10 minutes, but typically that's one thing is like a worst case scenario of hold times. I've seen worse. Like my dentist is like an hour hold. Last time I was on hold with them for 55 minutes. So yeah, like an hour. But it wasn't emergent. I just had to move an appointment, so they didn't charge me for missing it. Um, I don't know if that was a good use of my time and money. I might have just been better to take the hit. Um, anyway, the manual intervention, like you said, it's not a good experience for anybody, and like you said, it's expensive. And I mean, I had it a couple times on the EVgo stations. They were older systems on my Model S. I have my CHAdeMO adapter, and I learned how to reset them. I learned how to check. Well, at least this older model, I learned how to reset them. I learned how to check it, and I could actually go through a couple of the the troubleshooting steps before having to call, and sometimes I'd still have to call, like, if the system was just, like, frozen, or a lot of them had, like, bad touch screens. It was But I wasn't relying on it because, if I didn't get the charge, I was Ubering at the time. If I didn't get the charge, it just meant I would go home early that day, and I cannot imagine having that as my road trip experience. Because even if like, you verify, look at the Plugshare app, okay, it was up yesterday. Is it still gonna be up when I get there? Kyle Connor, my friend, went to a brand new station, and he started a video. It worked the first time on the video, but he'd actually tried, 2 or 3 stations, 2 or 3 stalls at this brand new station, of I think it was Electrify America, uh, and they didn't work. It just didn't work, and they plugged in again on the camera, and it worked first time, but that's not how you do road trips. Like, if you imagine what it'd be like if you drove gas cars, and you saw the big sign, "Here's the price, we got the cleanest restrooms, here's the snacks, here's the cash price, here's the credit card price, blah, blah, blah," and you get there, and it's like, without something extra, sort of, external factors. Like, you just get there and they've got all the advertisements. You get there, and you're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go to the bathroom. We're gonna get a snack. We're gonna fill up. It's gonna take us about 15 minutes here. I don't believe your 3 minute crap. Uh, I got a video on check. Anyway, so you planned your 15 minutes or so at the fuel pump, and you get there and you put the credit card in, and it doesn't go. You walk up to the counter, and it doesn't go. Or you walk up to the counter and they say, okay, we got you, and then you go back to dispense the fuel, and it just doesn't. It's not empty. It just doesn't. So it's the same as you get there, the lights are on and everything. There's electricity ready to go, and no, it just doesn't happen. So now you got to go back in, and they got to diagnose it. They got to restart the gas pump. That would be a terrible experience. This isn't like the early 1900s where you would go to the drugstore and get your gasoline from the pharmacist. I mean, we got to do better. And Tesla doesn't. I mean, Tesla isn't perfect by any means. Like I said, they still have, like the time I cut mine in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I would have been looking at probably a 6 minute hold time. But while other people were arguing over whose turn it was next, I just slipped in there and plugged in. I still feel bad about that. I should not have done that. But anyway, that's a very recent. That was, what, last Thanksgiving, I think it was. I think it was last Thanksgiving. The charger was just out. That was one of. So it was a 12 stall location. So one of 4 of the cabinets was just down, but not all of them. And I didn't have to call Tesla. They already knew. It was back up very shortly after that happened. They the other guys just have something to learn. They could do better. That's their job. Like, Tesla's, uh, selling electricity for road trips is a side business. This is your job. Make it happen. Do it right. I shouldn't have people say, "See, look, this is why you can't take road trips." No, I can take road trips. Those people can take road trips on those networks as well, but, I welcome them to the Superchargers. I just hope that they plan the rollout so that the folks in California aren't doing, even more waiting. And I also wanna see us get the, CCS adapter officially here in the States, so we can use their stuff whenever we feel like it. 'Cause sometimes, the station is closer and it is working, and I'd rather just do that than go find a supercharger. The baby's complaining about something. Uh, Gets them jiggly. Alright, let's see, it's not really its own standard, it's really based on the other stuff. That's why they were able to do what they do. Alright, so that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next one. Let's give some good news. I like good news. So Tesla's got this new blog post up as of September 7th. The Model Y has earned 5-star crash safety rating from the Euro NCAP. That's the highest overall, score under the new protocol. It's really hard to pass on a new score because, unless you designed for it, which is really hard to do, if you're doing the model year thing. Um, you guys kind of gotta. It's got to be one. It's got to be your priority. So like, I expect like Volvo will be the next one to do this. Let's zoom this in because that chart is like impossible. Let's test the Model Y, the Lexus NX. I can't even read that. Let's try again. All right, so that's too much zooming. All right, Lexus NX, Super Outback, the Genesis G80. So it's 92 for the percent for the Model Y. Dropped down to 89, 88. Let's see where it starts to. Right down to 81 with the Isuzu crew cab. And let's see, down to 72%. So don't forget, one, this is a new test, and two, certain manufacturers just don't put safety first. The Honda E, oh, that little electric car didn't do so well. That's unfortunate. All right, so let's go down to 59%. That's the Dacia Logan. That one might be an older car that, sometimes when they redo the tests, do you want to put any effort into a car you're getting ready to redesign next year? And some of them say no. Like the Renault Zoe, that's an old car. That's a Nissan Leaf. They the Nissan Leaf, it had a refresh, but all they did was change the skin. It was the same air cooled battery with, and by air cooled I mean passively air cooled. It doesn't have an active fan even like the Nissan NB200H. I'm sorry, NB200E, and it's, wow. But this is hard to do, and congrats to them. So the occupant protection score of, what's Tesla done to the Zoom on their site lately? 97% on overall occupant protection score. Let's see. Category score is determined by a series of frontal, side, and rear whiplash tests, in addition to analysis of several other attributes such as rescue, extrication, and post-crash safety. Oh, and they've got the videos, do they? I love the videos. All right. They use new Model Y vehicles featuring our latest manufacturing techniques and safety features to complete their assessment. Rear underbody castings, combined with our fortified battery pack, provides immense crash strength to the safety cell and helping to maintain the compartment integrity. This strength allows our advanced restraint systems to deploy effectively inside the cabin, holding occupants in place and providing protection against cabin intrusions. The structural pack at work right there. Uh, Far side airbag provides additional protection during side impacts, especially when there are two front occupants. If this is what I think it is, I think it's the airbag in the middle to keep the passenger and driver from knocking heads, which is good. Uh, the airbag deploys between the front seats to help prevent head injuries that could be caused by occupant to occupant contact. Multi-collision braking automatically applies the vehicle braking system after collision to help prevent a secondary impact. So this is another thing that happens a lot in crashes where the brakes are working for the first impact, but then the driver lets go or the system lets go or both. And so then if there's an accident chain pop 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 pop, the car is just rolling for the rest of those, and that's not good either. Especially if you're not in the middle of the car pileup sandwich. If you're on one of the ends, you could just go rolling off into a ditch or worse. Collision avoidance driver monitoring system uses direct monitoring to detect a distracted driver and automatically adjust the sensitivity of the forward collision warning system to be more reactive, which is awesome because if somebody's sitting there texting or eating a sandwich or looking out the window, um, and then the car ahead of you stops, you'd want more time for them to look back and see what's going on and assess the situation. So if you just left it the way it was, a lot of crashes happen that way. But if the car just becomes a little extra sensitive, not just saying, "Hey, pay attention to the road," but like, "Oh, oh, that guy's slowing down. Look out." It may not be an issue, but if it is, now you've got an extra couple of microseconds to deal with it. Let's see. It feels so good with family transport knowing Tesla safety ratings. Exactly. That's in the Model S crash. The the lawyer's like, see, it was a minor crash. I'm like, no, no, no. Uh, one, you're not a crash expert, Mr. Lawyer, and two, I didn't buy that for the safety of your client. I bought it to protect my family, and that's why we did the Tesla stretch on the Model S, because I wanted to protect my family, and it did its job. All right, let's see. There's still a lot of one and no star cars out there. Absolutely, exactly. And then you got a lot of old stuff that just this this is why I advocate for good used car programs as well. As if you can get them out of something that, I mean, people are like, oh yeah, old cars are great. They're built. No, they don't build them like they used to. Yeah, they were heavy and all that, but like on the oldest of cars, if they could survive, what they would do, they would just hose you out and clean it up, dry it out, and sell it again. But in between there, they actually started to think about crash safety. And if you look at I think it was the GM X car versus the 2009 Malibu. That old car just exploded into a cloud of rust, and there was another cloud coming out of the '09 Malibu as well, but that was the airbag dust. It wasn't the car disintegrating, and yeah, just because it was heavier doesn't mean it was better. Oh yeah, Robert Williams he sent me that as well. I'll take a look as well. And if this doesn't have it, then we can use his video. All right, so let's see. Collision avoidance. Hey, look back ahead. Is this a video or a picture? It's a video. Side airbag, the new mid bag, the far side airbag they call it. So that way, if they were both knocking like in a rollover or like a side collision, um, like a really long side collision, they wouldn't knock back and forth. That's good. The Model Y also received a leading score of 98% on Euro NCAP's safety assist category. This result was achieved with Model Y vehicles equipped with Tesla Vision. This is part of the reason they're calling this out is Mr. O'Dowd's garbage. Um, this result was achieved with Tesla Vision. Our camera and neural net processing system now come standard in all Tesla vehicles delivered in North America and Europe. The score was a result that many did not believe was possible without using radar. And in fact, some of the Tesla cars that got some of the latest updates had their radar disabled. And it took a while to figure it out because a lot of people didn't install the update before they even knew what was happening. I get it; it feels different, but the numbers speak for themselves. So let's see here. Additionally, automatic emergency braking continues to see major improvements during vehicle turning across path scenarios. Yeah, I've noticed the car is still aggressive about it, but it doesn't freak out if the person's definitely going to be gone. And when reversing into vulnerable road users, that was the one we looked at where uh, the car saved the person's legs by slamming on the brakes when the driver was driving into the person behind him, um, or attempting to anyway. Model Y also scored full points in the lane support system category. Lane support systems help reduce accidental road departures, one of the main causes of single vehicle and frontal crashes, according to Euro NCAP. Our team is dedicated to improving driving safety, and achieving some of the highest safety scores ever awarded. And it doesn't give us pause; it motivates us to make the world's safest vehicles even safer. Underlined with a YouTube video. Let's take a look. Copy that link. Note this recognition comes alongside Model Y's 5-star rating from the uh, Australasian New Car Assessment Program, ANCAP, which was announced today. So look at that as well. So the other thing to look at here is that this is kind of what got them into trouble with the NHTSA and IIHS. They were giving their raw scores and coming to conclusions based on it, where these organizations say we only evaluate scores in stars. You can't tell them percentage for percentage. So uh, Tesla has adjusted their marketing for such things in the States. I'm curious if anybody says anything this time around as well. Ah, yes, the Tesla data-driven safety lab.
Welcome to the Tesla.
So we watched this a few weeks ago, where they were going through and they were actually updating the software on the Model Y. They hit it with a Silverado, and then they updated the software. Like it validated their computer models. All right, so moving on, let's look at this other link they gave us at the Australasian NCAP. All right, so they've got a media release. Yeah, fine, it looks open for now. Oh, this is very recent as well. Same day. 3 new EV models bring 5-star safety. Let's see what we got here. The Tesla Model Y. Yeah, 97%. Okay, so they give you the percents in some of these end caps at least. 98% in safety assist pillar. Nice. I also like the automatic flashers when there's a collision. There's the mid bag, the far side collision. What is this? This is the GV60. Yes, the Genesis GV60. And who else do we get? Another GV60. And the Kia Niro, June 22 and onwards. So some of the manufacturers do mid-cycle refreshes, but a lot of them just wait for the next model year. Oh, they put it in the middle now. That's interesting. Makes it probably more easy to sell in all markets. If it's just in the middle, like a Nissan Leaf, rather than off to one side or the other. All right, so the Kia has a video. We'll look at that. And the Tesla Model Y, we're definitely going to watch that because this kind of goes against what Mr. Dowd was showing us in his fakery. All right, Kia Niro from June. Like it does its job, dissipates all that energy, doesn't get into the cabin. Like it just stops right before it gets to the cabin. I like that. All right, then we've got the little children there. I was not expecting the noise. Almost jumped. Then they removed the headrest there. I would think that might have some effect on what happens to the kid. Unless the kid just wasn't tall enough to reach. All right. Whoa, look how much that door comes out. Is that a foot? That's not a foot. Wow. I mean, it did its job, but it bent a lot more than we're used to seeing on the Teslas. All right. Yeah, it rolled over too, like it tucked, and the door came out. All right, looks like the seat is done well. There's the head test, the sausage test. Oh, there's the sausage test. The other one was just like a thigh. All right. Perfect. Excellent. That's what you want. In the dark, it just works. Ooh, that was a close call. All right. And ooh, that was way too close for comfort. I mean, it worked. It worked. It's amazing how much that little foam car costs. All right, so that's them, and let's get out of this maximum mode. Now let's look at the Model Y and see what Mr. O'Dowd was getting schooled on. This is from June 22 onwards, so that's saying that for the Model Y sold in June with the GigaCast. Wow. That was loud. They lost the wheel cover. All right. Yes. All right. So no intrusion past the firewall, or what would be the firewall. Oh, you know what? I say GigaCast. That's a rear GigaCast, not necessarily the all GigaCast. Interesting. That's a small driver. There's no contact there. Seat. All right. Whoa, the window came out. Wow. The back window came out. And there's the mid bag there. Did its job. Everybody's safe. I wonder if they could put one in the back seat if there's nobody in the middle seat. I guess it would depend on the weight sensors and the seatbelt. See how little impact the pole had compared to the Kia? Of course, the roof just shatters. But it's getting rid of the energy. And I think that might be part of it. Is like the roof has more space to get rid of the energy because it can spider and crack and deform. There's the seat. Head test. Thigh. Call it a thigh. The sausage. All right. All right, here's the tests. Nothing. Nothing. I don't know if this one uses the child size test, do they? That one got so close that the proximity sensor went off. There's a child size. Look at that. It didn't run him over, and there was no sign saying that, yeah, car will not brake. And he says sometimes those test dummies look like graceful dancers. This is true. Look at that. They even show you the screen. This is the warning we get. So basically the warning is to the effect of lane departure in their language. All right, look at that. I like it. All right, so let's see. Let's shrink this back down. Let's go through you guys' comments real quick. Zachary rented FSD on my brand new Model 3, but it seems extremely jerky, accelerates hard when I'm stuck in traffic, and slowing down too fast, too late. Do you think I have my settings wrong? I don't think you have your settings wrong. Mine was trip when it first went to Tesla Vision, and I think what you'll find is that whenever they let you rent it again with the FSD beta, like when Elon says it goes wide, I think that means no safety score shenanigans, that sort of thing. When you can get what that truly means, when that happens, you'll find that it's going to be a lot better of an experience than what you had so far. Now, when what Elon says means what people think he says catches up is a whole nother question. I think that'll probably be on the next release. So when he says wide on this release, he's saying to the people who already are in the program and resetting the people who had strikes or been struck out. And then I think that depending on how this one goes, I think that the next one after 10.69 will be where we see anyone who gives them the money for FSD can try it out and experience the new system. I may be wrong. It might be when they get sensor fusion working, but I don't know that they need to wait for sensor fusion for that to happen, but they might. Because right now, when the car switches from city streets beta to navigate on autopilot on this version, at least my version anyway, the last couple of ones, the whole screen flashes and refreshes, and like the handoff isn't always smooth. Like sometimes when I have the handoff happen in a curve, like the car will kind of like twitch the wheel a little bit as Navigate and Autopilot takes over, or can twitch it a different way if as FSD City Streets takes over. Not in a dangerous way, just not the smoothest, most comfortable handoff. It's like literally if I had like the driver's ed car and I slid the steering wheel over, like if it was drive by wire, and it's like, "Hey, your turn, you got it," and the transition just isn't always the smoothest. It's not unsafe. It's like, whoa, they did that. David says the Tesla vision system should be tuned to recognize all pedestrians except down. I think that would be awesome, but at the same time, they would be in such a world of trouble if if they were like crows and they remembered the guy who wronged them. 'Cause that's kind of how it is. Like if you wrong a crow, like not just all the crows that saw you do it, like generations later, and then whole other flocks that aren't the one that you messed with, they know you. It's to the point where when they do this test now to see how the memory of the crow works, they actually have to wear masks because the crow will remember the person and tell the friends, and it's like that would be kind of funny if the car could do it, but at the same time, it's not the right way for them to go about it. But man, it would be like chef's kiss. um, slow dance. Graceful dance was in slow mo. Okay. I've noticed a lot of these crash safety rules. They've stopped doing the rear impact. I don't think they stopped. They just might stop recording it. There's a lot of footage that goes on, and they have to pick and choose what goes in there, and they want these videos to be like 5 minutes or less because they want you to watch them. So let's take a look at the Genesis GV60, 22, September 22 and onwards. This is a brand new one. Whoa, it worked. Man, a lot of it came out. So this should be fairly applicable to the Kia EV6 and the Honda Ioniq 5 as well. There's not a lot of difference between these cars. All right. They just used a smaller test on these guys. Oh, it's a lot of body roll there. All right. You got some air. It was flying. All right, they've got the mid bag too. I wonder if we'll just start seeing that as standard when people say we've got like 25 airbags, and that's just one of them, or if it's just on the smaller cars. Because if you're just far enough away that you can't reach I like the pretensioner. Like you can see the pretensioner go on that baby doll. Um, it's a lot more into the cab. Look at that. The metal just isn't as strong as the glass in these crashes. It seems. The If the car is just wide enough that the passenger and driver just can't reach each other if they're belted, then maybe it's unnecessary. But we might start to see that bag become standard. And even on the cars where it's not needed, we might see it because why would for marketing, like if you've got it on the medium sized car, like why does the more expensive car not have the same thing? It would be in the eyes of the consumer. The thigh test there, and the sausage melted dented the hood. Okay, that was a good stop. Woo! Survived. Ooh. They get awful close. Whoa! It hit the carrier. But it didn't hit the bike. So I like that. So far, none of them failed today. This is good. It helps keep you just like if you're getting drowsy or not paying attention, it helps you not slide off the road. Ooh. That one when I heard the smack, it got my heart up a little bit. Sharp eyes may recognize the latest vehicle to be tested by the ANCAP. Expect safety rating soon. Oh, they might. Let's go ahead and follow these people. All right, moving on. All right, so we did the European crash test. So this one is the one I was talking about, alluded to earlier in the show. This fellow here. Whoops, I got put in the right window. Sorry about that. So this fellow here, he sold his 2022 Tesla Model 3 long range at a profit. It goes back to a gas car. This goes back to what I was talking about with charging. When he bought the car, he had home charging, and then he moved into an apartment. And I did apartment charging for a year and a half, 2 years. When did I get here? Anyway, I did apartment charging for a while. It sucks. It's if you've got a dedicated spot or they have on-site level 2 like a charge point, that's fine. But if there's no charging, it's a pain. It wasn't something that I felt I couldn't overcome, obviously, because I kept the car. But I can see the frustration, especially he sold his Model 3 for like 58,000, and he bought it for 54,000, so he made an $8,000 profit. And then he bought a 19 Genesis G70. Let's see. Novelty wore off. He said the instant torque. It doesn't exactly. I mean, it's not the same, but I still smash that go pedal like several times a week. Not in an unsafe manner, but man, hitting the lightning pedal it feels good. My baby likes it. My wife doesn't. Let's see. Preferred to coast from time to time, but the gender braking system prevented that from happening. Not really. Um, yeah, the new Teslas don't allow you to turn it off, but if you learn how to put your foot, you can coast. And if you really want to, you can flop it into neutral, which is not legal everywhere. But you can pop it into neutral, and then that'll allow you to coast. But yeah, just balance your foot right, or use autopilot, regular cruise control, whatever it takes. But if you don't have the adjustable regen, then you probably got free autopilot. Just saying. Furthermore, when Tesla was bought, the owner used to charge at home. Yep, a lot of nearby chargers. But after moving to an apartment, this became less and less convenient. Yeah, it was a pain. I don't miss it at all. I'm never moving to apartment again for that reason, as well as I didn't like it when they moved a herd of elephants above us. Like for a year, it was fine, and then all of a sudden, just all day long, 22 hours a day. Boom, 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 boom. So, I mean, it's more efficient, but it's not for me. Get more on that coming up too. All right, so no superchargers in sight for miles. That actually did help me because there are superchargers around all over the place. So I just became 100% supercharged at that time. But what broke the camel's back was a couple of alleged bad experiences with Tesla's customer support. I believe it. Just saying you had it. I believe it. They are a mixed bag at Tesla sales and support, service and support, I should say. I keep hearing stuff about a few of the service centers that I don't use in the various local groups, and then I've had my own mixed experiences with my actual local service center. Uh, Generally, they were trying to do the right thing, but they didn't always give me the warm fuzzies. Because remember, when I bought the Model S, they treated you like a king. It was awesome. And I bought the Model S used from Ford, and they didn't care. They're like, "Yeah, oh, let's get the take care for you. Here's a loaner car. All right, we'll see you next week." Now it's like, "Hey, your car's been done. Let's get our car back by tonight, if you even got a loaner." And as we talked about on the Tesla Life, there's rumors going around now that they don't even do the Uber credits. We'll see how that goes. It's a rumor. I haven't confirmed it. My last service appointment I canceled, or they canceled. Either way, the messages that were popping up on the screen, they went away pretty much the day I put in the appointment, and so I didn't get to verify that situation. Eddie says apartment charging. It's all I know. Yeah. So like Eddie's case, he charges away from home, and it's an experience for him. But I can understand folks not having the patience to deal with it. But especially like in Eddie's case, where you can find inexpensive to free charging, it does help to take some of that sting out of the having to make an adventure of it. My son made it work at an apartment, but he has a lot of supercharger support in Atlanta. Of course, he would prefer level 2 charging in a home garage. Yeah, and I've got a video I still didn't finish yet. Electron sponsored it. They probably aren't going to choose me ever again because a bunch of stuff happened and I didn't get the video done in a timely fashion. But I say that we'll see what happens. But either way, so my premise of this video for Electron was that you can get by on level 1 charging, and I did a whole month or so of just level 1 charging. There were a couple superchargers in there, and then I did a couple of opportunity charges at the grocery store. Uh, but basically, the trick with level 1 charging is even more so than level 2 charging is always be charging. The car, if it's not moving, it's plugged in, and it can be done. And it can be done with minimal supplements of AC level 2 or of DC fast charging. Just minimal. And if you don't ever break out of your schedule, like if it's just what I do when I'm not traveling, uh, and you don't have any weird deviations in your schedule, level 1 can get you done. Uh, I need to finish that video now. But yeah, you can make it work, and like you said, having more support available means that you don't have to think about like, hey, I'm only 25% full, but I need to get across the country. Okay, I'll just stop at a supercharger. That's again where like I keep saying that it matters to have functional chargers everywhere. It's nice when you bump into a Volta on occasion. Yes, oh man, I love the Volta chargers, and that actually while we were doing the level 1 charging and while we were in the apartment, that actually determine what grocery stores we'd go to is if they had Volta charging. David says level 1 at my old work garage was the only way the Nissan Leaf with short range was doable before my Tesla. Yes, yes. So I did the Volts. I did level 1 at home several times. I did at my dad's house, and then we later upgraded to 240, and then I would max out the range. I did level 2 on the way back. And then when there was construction, I did level 1 there at work, and then back. That was when I was working at the Chevy store. I used their Nissan Leaf charger a couple times. Yeah, my first tank of gas lasted me almost 2 years on the first Chevy Volt. Um, the second one didn't last anywhere near as long because my wife likes to road trip even more than I do, and so we've been through several tanks of gas on that car, but not too many. Then let's see, I did level 1 at our townhouse we rented down there. That was fun, and then I did one where I never charged at home. Like, I was close enough to work, I just only charged at work with the Chevy Volt, so the only time you see me plug in was, if it was like we were going somewhere or we had a road trip and I wasn't going back to work the next day, so then I would plug in at home on those days. That was fun. Yeah, so if you wanna get an EV and live in a multifamily dwelling that doesn't have a charging solution, it becomes tougher, and I understand that a lot of people don't want the hassle, and I can understand and respect what he did. Uh, as you can see, I would just stick it through, but I get it. It's especially if there's no superchargers around. That's it's not a fun scenario to be in. All right, so let's go on to the next one, and those are a bunch of videos that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. I still want to skip this particular source. So let's go on to here. This go over here. Close that. Your future camping expeditions could be in this off-road electric RV called the Adventure One. I think this one came from Robert William or Dan or Eddie. I don't remember who sent it first. Uh, But this thing looks cool. This thing looks cool. Look at it. It looks like a Nissan, a Toyota Previa, but like modernized a little bit. It's a little narrower than the Previa ever was too. Um, kind of like a canoe, actually. Not the boat, but the auto manufacturer brand canoe. I like the way it looks. Look at this thing. Um, now, for me to be like super gung ho about it, would need a toilet and a shower. But for like rugged camping, minimal glamping, this will do the trick. So this is a Canadian EV startup called Potential Motors, Electric Potential. They're working to bring an off-road electric RV to the market in a limited volume. It's called the Adventure One, launching ahead this month, ahead of production in 2024. Let's see some of these unique features we want to check out here. They're out of New Brunswick. That's not a feature. I like how when the doors close, it looks like the Rivian a little bit. That red light bar across the back. 6.5 million Canadian or 5 million US. That's not bad, but it's not a lot. I wish them success. Their off-road model launches next month. I like the way this thing looks. That should do. So their renderings. Oh, it's unfortunate. I thought these were one-off models. They're just low-res renders. I can see it now. Okay. It sits atop a dual-motor, all-electric off-road platform designed from the ground up with adventure in mind. Only 64 inches wide, so you can run it in between the rock crevices. It can access and safely navigate trail networks with the idea of bringing luxury and comfort to areas only UTVs can normally access. So little utility quads or the hopped-up golf carts, depending on where you're going. Overall design has been integrated with a full-size bed, a sheltered kitchen that slides out. Okay. So you're cooking outside, but it slides out. I like that. Built-in roof rack, steps on the side, enough dry storage to hold 2 motorcycles. What? Where? That's cool. Potential states that in the United States, the Adventure One will be road legal in the states where UTVs and off-highway vehicles can be licensed on non-highway roads. Ooh, so it won't be a real car in the states because we have so many highways. But you could throw it on a trailer and take it with you, or just stay around home. Where were we the other day? We got passed by a Polaris with doors and mirrors and signals. That was kind of cool. I'm not used to seeing all of that equipment on those type of vehicles. Can be flat-towed as a camper for road trips, but brought directly to trailheads with full battery to explore with. Okay, that is. There aren't too many electric cars that can be flat-towed. They typically have the problem where when the wheels are spinning, the rotors are spinning, and if they're not on, they have nothing to deal with all that current that's flowing through them, and they burn up their insulation, and they have the potential to potentially start a fire or just break. And so that's actually kind of cool. They actually designed it for that. So they probably have a disconnect, just like the Jeeps and a bunch of the other towed type vehicles can be. So you're going to tow the Toad and have 2 motorcycles in it. I hope that the motorcycles they use for the demo are like Zeros or live wires, just electric motorcycles. I'm looking at that roof, and if you move the spare tire, it looks like you could put one of them roof tents up there too. All right. I also wonder if while it's in towed mode, if it can just charge off of the tow vehicle and then disconnect the motors once it's full. Probably not, but that would be a smart way to do it. When the RV is let loose, vehicle control system will scan the trail ahead. Interesting. Using a curated sensor suite that can proactively adapt torque and suspension to ensure an optimal smooth ride. Thanks to its low center of gravity, Potential Motors promises the Adventure One will be extremely agile through tough off-road terrain. Here are some additional specs: 604 horsepower, That's a lot, and electric makes it easier. 737 foot-pounds of torque. 100 miles of off-road range. Not bad. I mean, especially if it's a UTV, that's probably what I'd expect out of one of them. 90 cubic feet inside or 2550 liter. I don't understand. I mean, I know it's metric, but why liters? Why liters? I mean, we're not filling it with water. Why not cubic meters? 'Cause we're filling it with volume. We're not filling it with with liquid or air. I mean, I guess it will be full of air with whatever's left over. But that one's always got me. That's why I like Bjorn's banana box test because that's like something I can see and understand. Hey, Exotic Geeks, hello. Good to see you. All right, so it's got a 12.9-inch ground clearance. Oh my goodness, that's way more than my Model X. I think the Model X gets up to 10 now with the new update. It used to be more, but they cut it. 40-degree approach angles, 45-degree departure angles, 29-degree breakover angle, and 64 inches wide by 178 inches long with a to-be-determined height. I hope it's got height adjustment. That would be cool. And 105-inch wheelbase. Interesting they did liters of volume and then did everything else in inches. That's a weird mismatch. And it starts at $136,000 Canadian, I assume. That is 103,704 US dollars if it was Canadian dollars they're talking about. Ooh. I don't know how much like a Polaris cost, but that sounds a little bit pricey. Especially like something I can't just use as a daily driver. Still a word Virginia in there somewhere. Oh yeah, Arlington, Virginia, at the Overland Expo, October 7th to 9th. Somebody messaged me about this. I'm gonna try to keep it up. But somebody messaged me about this. I need to go visit this thing. Yes, yes. That will be fun to see this in person. The Overland Expo, October 7th to 9th. Let me look at the calendar real quick. Uh, that's the weekly. I want monthly, please. Oh, not today. Monthly, and then show me next month. 7 to 9. It's probably a weekend. Why would you have an Overland Expo during the work week? 7 to 9. That's Friday through Sunday. All right. If it doesn't cost too much, I'm gonna try to get there. That sounds like some fun. All right. So sorry for that little excursion there. Let's get the YouTube back on top. Um, have I seen the video about the motorbike fits in a bag? Not yet. I haven't opened your messages yet. Remember, I have that issue with Facebook Messenger on my phone, so I usually do it on the PC. Lee says, "Hi, how are you? My reminder didn't pop up today. Oh, yeah. Just set it to perpetual, just like it never ends, and then I'll let you know if something happens. But I don't intend for it to end. Um, but yes, hello, good to see you. Good morning, Lee." David says 136 grand. I'll go for the Cybertruck. Exactly. The only thing that this has going over the Cybertruck is the skinniness. So it'll fit on those little bike trails. Whereas I say bike trails, the ones that the UTVs can go in. But I imagine that you could probably still get 2 or 3 base model Cybertrucks for 136 grand if that's American priced. Like US priced. I don't like saying the Canadians aren't Americans. They say it all the time, but no, they're Americans. They're North Americans. I agree. Oh, okay, yeah. A Gurulwat. I'll have to find out more about Gurulwat. Let's see what people say about the price on this thing. 136K, you'll definitely want to pre-order in quickly. With only 100-mile range. Come on, who thought of this? If the range was at least 200 miles here in Ontario, there'd be a number of parks I could go to, but that limited range, you could get stuck without a charge in some of the larger parks, even if you start with a full charge. I didn't think about that. Like, yeah, like if you go from one edge of the large park to the other, does off-road range 100 miles here differ significantly from normal range calculations? Yeah, if that's 100 miles off-road, then that's actually significant, and it'll still leave you out of charge in the larger parks in Canada and the USA. Maybe. I don't know that I'd be going across one of those largest parks. I would kind of like, all right, this is where we're exploring today. Start here and go to there. I'm not like, yeah, let's just traverse this thing. Um, After COVID, most of those RVs are almost 200 grand. 136 is considered reasonable nowadays. The RVs that are 200 grand today are not micros. We're talking like um, B class vans with the extended wheelbase. We're talking class A's and class C's. We're not talking a glorified tuk-tuk. Now this thing might be bigger than it sounds and looks, but hopefully we'll find out in person. Like when I just go there and to the expo and take a look. Hopefully they don't block cameras, but if they do, I'll still tell you what I felt and how it was. But I'm thinking worst case is if I can't take the GoPro or the 360 camera, what I'll do is I'll just use the cell phone because I imagine I won't be the only one in there with the cell phone unless they do the thing where they tape over your lenses. RV, this is essentially a beach buggy with a tall cabin. Well, it's got a bed and probably a toilet, like a cassette toilet. It's literally a mini. No, it's smaller than a minivan. The potential I see here is a canoeish clone with an advertised high price tag. Yeah. I wish these guys well, but it'll be very hard to climb out of a hole that they're in. They're so small a company that their EV will be expensive, and they'll remain small because there's not much of a demand for EVs that aren't fully road legal. Exactly. And it's not like the three wheelers where you can be like, it's a motorcycle. No, it's literally not legal on so many roads, even if it's got the speed. And it probably won't be crash tested. Just from what we've seen, they may be Tesla style and they're all about safety, even if they don't have to be. But we'll see. Aptera's the same way. They didn't have to do the vehicle crash tests, but they did. They're the 51st state, like it or not. This is true. This is very true. Uh, Pretty much. They've got some stuff protecting them from that, but pretty much that's exactly what they are. Uh, let's see. So talking about the small cars, if it fits your needs, it looks like heaps of fun. Yeah, it does look like fun. My concern would be the rather short range and the fact that no mention is made of its top speed. Well, I don't the top speed. I'm just curious if it can get on the road at all, but they might block that just so they can keep their status of as UTV. So you can slab to the trailhead. If you really must trailer the thing to get the fun stuff, it cuts down on your sales even further. Absolutely, especially if you're taking other stuff with you um, besides the motorcycles that fit inside. Lee's making fun of Dan's late rising. Let's see. If it also has some 200-mile stretches between fuel stops, that doesn't mean you can't find a plug more easily. Interesting, interesting. Transamerica Trail is a continuous 5,000-mile route of public trails, private trails with access already given by landowners to TAT runners, and short stretches of pavement in between off-road legs. It's intended for dirt bikes and 4x4s. That's just about every type of terrain you can imagine, some of it quite challenging. Thank you for that insight, Mr. T. Romley. Or put a truck camper on an F-150 Lightning for half the cost and twice the range. I wonder if the Lightning has that message on it that so many of the Toyotas do, and Honda, of how it's not rated for truck camping. In fact, a lot of the Silverados have that too. It's just a message like this one's not rated for a camper, but a lot of the others don't have that. You wouldn't be twice the range once you put the camper on, but I can't deny you have a point. And not only that, but it'll probably charge faster too because you've got the CCS. All right, let's move on to the next thing. That was an interesting diversion, and I need to add that to my calendar because that sounds like something fun to go see, even if I probably wouldn't buy one. 136 grand. Good gracious. Uh, so this one's about Ford. Not just paste, paste and go, paste and go. Seriously. Okay. Now that we're done fighting with the computer, Ford CEO wants to compete with Tesla. We'll meet with dealers to lower of sequence because I've got another article that plays in nicely with this. Um, Ford is not backing down from a showdown with Tesla as the EV race heats up. According to a new report, Ford's Jim Farley will meet with dealers next week in a bid to lower the price of its electric vehicles to compete with Tesla. We'll see how that goes. um, When Tesla first began selling EVs, many saw its direct consumer approach as a vulnerability with less exposure to buyers, yet the opposite has turned out to be true. It's now one of its greatest advantages, absolutely, especially in this world of shortage where the dealers can do a double or triple X market adjustment fee. Let's see. Tell us how it works. Musk often talks about how Tesla can cut costs and pass it on to buyers, yes. Ford seems to be catching on as the automaker took second EV sales in the US this past month. Oh, they just did that? I would have thought it'd been so much sooner given, how Nissan and GM just gave it up. I'm not saying they quit. I'm just saying that they they let Ford take it. Take that, Elon Musk, after taking the early lead in EV pickup market. Maybe taking a page out of Tesla playbook. Okay. This is obviously I'm reacting to this one. I'd read it in advance. Ford is not taking models off the dealership lot to online target online buyers, but they kind of did that already. Probably focus on the cost. In July, Ford said the automaker would need to cut selling costs by $2,000 to remain competitive with Tesla and other EV makers. We talked about that. They've done some measures, such as selling low inventory models directly to consumers. Okay, that's something we talked about as well. This will help cut costs $600 to $700 per unit. That's not 2,000. It still won't be enough to compete with Tesla, which can update pricing instantly, and we've seen them do that both directions. Uh, Dealership expects Ford to implement new policies to promote the growth of its EV line, requiring the installation of chargers. I mean, why not have chargers? It makes sense. And then you also don't want your chargers to be the situation where it's like, yeah, you didn't buy it from us, you can't use it. I heard that a lot from some of the early Nissan dealers, Nissan Leaf dealers. Working with dealers is a smart move on Ford's part. For one thing, dealerships should be incentivized by the massive growth in EV demand. Yeah, if they want to remain competitive with Tesla and other EV startups, they need to be more flexible. Yes, absolutely. So let's see. So I didn't hear a whole lot of like solutions for what they're doing. They're just going to do it. Ford will have to copy Tesla's business model to remain relevant. Ford dealerships as middlemen with their huge inventory sitting on the lots cannot compete with Tesla's profits. I still maintain that that's what Model E is. Once it's up and running and stable, Ford Blue will get spun off and just like a toxic assets. Okay. So low. Well, I'm laughing out loud. Dealers lower prices on EVs that are in demand from Ford. Yeah, exactly. Like I think they'll take the meeting, they'll listen, and then they won't do anything about it unless there's something in it for them, which instead of lowering the price per unit, actually would raise the price per unit. Um, uh, there aren't very many moves that Ford could pull to actually get them to come along with this. As we saw, how few of them actually, a few of them actually flaunted it when Ford said not to mark them up, and then we saw instantly the dealership that was selling the Lightning for double price. All right, so let me go to the notes and find the other one that I said was related. One. Oh, yeah, that's because you're on the wrong. Why are you in the wrong notebook? Eh. There we go. All right, so we talked about Ford. Now let's talk about somebody else copying Tesla. Political. We'll deal with them later. GM copies Tesla to set up a direct-to-consumer sales channel in China. There's the Hummer EV with the T-tops removed. When your business methods work, even your competitors will copy you. General Motors is expanding in China, following Tesla's playbook, according to Teslarati. They are going to launch a direct sales platform named Durant Guild in the Asian nation. Interesting. The platform is named after General Motors founder William Durant. Okay, so the Durant Guild. That makes sense. GM will use the Durant Guild to import and sell automobiles in China. So they're not even doing it under their own name. They've started a new company to sell direct to customers in China. That's interesting. The company will offer vehicles that have only been available in the US. Oh, this is going to be hot commodities. Well, assuming that, they're priced right and everything. The company will offer vehicles that have been only available in the US. This means Chinese buyers will finally be able to acquire the Hummer EV, for example. Rich people. Even in the States, you got to be rich to have one of them. Durant says, GM says Durant will operate as Tesla does. It'll sell directly to buyers, but through invitation-only events. GM will also maintain experience centers and pop-up shops in China. Like literally, just copying Tesla. At least as far as the sales experience goes. That's it, just the sales experience, because your app doesn't work as fast or smooth. It'd be a GM underneath. The aim is not necessarily to sell lots of vehicles. It's meant to generate buzz for GM's cars and change people's perception of the company. However, GM won't mind selling a few vehicles as sales across its flagship brands in China. Okay. No comments. I don't know. What do y'all think about this? It's interesting. I think that China is probably just going to be them testing it out, and then they may pull a Model E and Ford Blue as well. Time will tell. Somebody's wet. She screams like she was struck. We've never hit this child. Sometimes it's just a littlest bit of urine, and she just goes ape. Instantly too. Like there's no warning that like yeah, I'm wet and I'm mad. It's like, okay, like just give us a second to get the diapers. All right, so it says Yellen. I'm assuming that's Janet Yellen. Says new climate laws will support energy security and protect us from fossil fuel volatility at the Ford EV plant. Yes, Janet Yellen. Like she doesn't care that you're like in the process of changing the diaper. It's the same level of complaint until it's completely done and like has been done. Like she'll cry like even after you close her up. Our plan has worked, says Janet Yellen during Ford's Rouge EV event, or EV facility where in-demand F-150 Lightning is made. The United States should have moved faster towards renewable energy sources, and that had we done so, the country would be in a better position to address climate change and national security. We've been saying this. Y'all finally listened. She added, Europe and the United States would be less exposed to the pressures that this conflict is putting on our energy markets if we had greater reliance on renewables. Since then, U.S. leaders have made it their mission to wean off fossil fuel reliance and build up the nation's renewable energy sources. She traveled to Detroit to visit the Ford EV plant and explain how these initiatives benefit them now and will continue as the plan rolls out. And on top of what I keep saying is that, generally the green thing is going to save you money or make you money or both. Uh, so I mean, you can be totally selfish and still be green. All right, so I'm gonna definitely bring this one up for later in the week. I like it. So, what do y'all think about this? I mean, for those of us that have been following this for years, it's kind of like, well, duh. But what about? I mean, it's kind of cool to see the mainstream finally catching up on this. Right. Something a little fun, rather than I told you so. This 2.7-ton Humvee-inspired Monroe 4x4 EV from Scotland is coming to the U.S. I don't like the proportions, but it looks like fun. I don't like that big old exposed high voltage cable either, especially if you're gonna be off-roading. 7 tons? Okay, that's not. I mean, that sounds heavy, but it's not really all that heavy compared to some of the EVs out there. Founded in 2019 in Glasgow, mass manufactured road-going vehicles are designed to a different set of principles, and we focus on off-highway performance, reliability, and longevity. Our aim is to see vehicles that are maintained over decades and once again viewed as assets that just happen to be electric. Well, most vehicles are not assets unless you consider them to be depreciating assets. But yeah, like Range Rover and stuff, people just hang on to them for decades. Just kind of keeping them up to tune. Over the past 3 years, they've been developing the 4x4 called the Mark One, keeping the public ahead of its development process, which currently sits in the prototype phase. Okay, so a prototype, it's okay to have a big old honking HV wire sitting out there like that. 750,000 euros in pre-seed funding this April. So they're when I see smaller numbers like that, I mean it's a lot of money, but when I see smaller numbers like that, like versus making cars, I wish them well. Let's look at these stats here. 280 kilowatts or 700 newton meters. Permanent four-wheel drive. Okay, it's a lot more impressive on a fossil when they do that. On electric, it's really easy to to deal with, unless they don't do torque sleep. Battery capacity is 80.1 kilowatt hours usable. Not bad. Liquid conditioning, heating, and cooling. That's good. 168 miles of mixed driving, including highway. 16 hours of off-highway usage. So that's another way you see it, just in hours. That works. 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. It's fun. Approach and departure angles, 88 and 70. Charge rates, 100 kilowatts DC fast charge. Okay, so that sounds like this one will be able to be perfectly highway legal, whether you want to or not. So you can drive to your trails, and as long as it's not ultra narrow, you can just take it off road. What if they'll be at that same event? That'll be fun. I probably won't spend very long there if they're not looking at EVs. Let's see. Charge times 15 to 80 is 36 minutes. You might say, well, that's cheating. It's fair. It's the way an owner would go. Like, you get to 80% and start slowing down. You're gonna unplug it and keep going. And you generally don't want it to get down too low before you start charging. Like my car charges fastest at 20%. That's not all Teslas, but my AC Type 2 is 3 hours. That's not bad. I'm wondering if that is 80 amp charging because that's really quick. My Model X will charge from in the red to 90% in 4 hours on a 72 amp charger. Ground clearance 45 centimeters or 17.7 inches for the body and 29 centimeters or 11.4 inches for the axle, with a weighting depth of 100 centimeters. Impressive, 39.4 inches. Wow. Please tell me they'll be in Arlington as well. I want to see this one. Let's see if we get the price too. They're planning knockdown vehicle kits. Okay, allowing the EV to be shipped from the UK and assembled in the US, potentially qualifying it for federal tax credits. There you go. Um, there you go. 'Cause they are a trading partner, and if they build it in the US, they get those extra points. Although an appetite for this rugged 4x4 may be growing in the States, Monroe's production ramp up will be slow at first. That's fine. Only targeting 50 units when the production begins next year, and half of those will be right-hand drive sold to the UK. All right. I mean, if they've got a plan, that makes sense. They're aiming to build another 500 in 2024, 2,500 in 2025, and 5,000 annually by 2030. So they're going for a slow ramp. That's fine. Hopefully, what they find is they get a lot of pre-orders and they can actually go faster than that. Assuming that it's a good car. It looks all right from the specs and pictures. Starting price will be around £75,000 or $87,000. So you can get yourself a much more capable vehicle or two for less than the price of the mini EV. Uh, Interesting. Too bad they didn't mention they'd be at that same expo. That would have been cool. How is 5,700 pounds a behemoth? Yeah, it's actually lighter than my car. 58 and 58 is mine. Dry. GM Hummer is almost 9,000 pounds, and the Rivian R1S is 6,500 pounds. 2.7 tons isn't enough to qualify as a commercial vehicle for the IRS tax deduction purposes. That is also true, except that's not the dry weight. That one they're looking at the GWVR, so it may still qualify if they claim that it can carry that much payload. We need to we just need to tear down one of these from Sandy Monroe. I would love that. Monroe tears apart Monroe. 2.7 ton behemoth as opposed to the lightweight 2.65 695 ton Model X at 5395. Yes, that's true. My Model X is heavier than many at 58. The new one this guy's quoting is 5395. I don't know if that's a long range or a plaid. Looks like someone stole the wheels and put donut-sized spares on it. The wheels would probably be the same size, but the tires do look kind of small for the size. The proportions are awful. An off-road car with hardcore needs portal axles. I don't know about portal axles, but that would be something fun. All right, let's move on to the next one, and I can close that one because I won't be going back to it. All right, so we talked about Tesla Germany, so I close that one. Talking about the Autopilot nerfing again. While we're on this like off-road kick, let's go over to Volkswagen. This will be fun for a little bit. Volkswagen has unveiled the ID Extreme, XTREME, Extreme, a rugged-looking off-road EV. Rugged looking, but it definitely is beefier than the stock one, and I like what they've done to the place. Let's take a look at see if I do a snack real quick. I do need a snack real quick. Let's go with the effing crumbs everywhere. All right, so the ID Extreme is an off-road EV concept, so we'll probably never see the thing, but hopefully they sell kits. The automating giant. That's interesting. Automotive giant, you mean? Has set its sights on being a leader in the rapidly evolving electric. I got to fly over electric vehicle market. VW CEO. Are they talking the Porsche guy? Has even gone as far as saying to take the top spot from the current EV leader Tesla by 2025. We'll see, and I don't believe it because Ford has already beaten you there. Big wheels, but I would say, Eddie, it does not have that same SUV look, does it? Other than stupid plastic trim on the wheels. I don't know why all the crossovers do that. built an early lead by releasing the ID4 late, really late, to the point where they were just piling up in a field waiting on software. But yeah, early. So the 2023 ID4 will be built in Chattanooga, qualifying it for the $7,500 tax credit. There you go. See, that's what you need to do, BYD. Instead of whining that you don't qualify, qualify. It works. It is the Porsche guy. On his first day, VW's new CEO laid out his plans to accelerate EV production and continue the momentum his predecessor built. That's cool. I like the way this looks. It doesn't really look all that off-roady. It looks like, off pavement. It looks like it'd be fun. It reminds me of, it looks like they kind of copied Brian from I Want Tesla's Model Y a little bit, but with a more normal graphics package. I think he did green in the mountains and then he did pink. They started with the ID4 GTX, the high performance model, as his base, converting the sporty flagship into a rugged off-road machine, which kind of what Brian did. He took a Model Y performance and made it into an off-road vehicle. WOB. Wow. Comes with 2 electric motors, putting out 220, but the ID Extreme is fitted with a maximum performance drive on the rear axle and drive control unit software upgrades to boost this by 30%, an additional 65 kilowatts, for a total output of 285 kilowatts. Okay, that's fun. Uses the MEP platform. I mean, why would it stop using the platform and it's just an off-road package? But not a bolt-on off-road package they did some work to it. But it's a concept, so I mean, it'll probably turn into a bolt-on package without software update. Let's see. 18-inch off-road wheels. Yeah, see, these wheels are more proportional than the other one. Additional front bumper with a modified crash bar, 50mm wider wings, giving it an off-road rugged look. Added LED lights on the roof. I had a fully electric all-wheel drive system. That's not an upgrade. That fully electric all-wheel system is the base. I know what you're thinking. Another concept vehicle that will never see the light of day. But Volkswagen says it will monitor fans' reactions to the ID Extreme, and based on the feedback, they will decide what's next for the project. We decided that nobody was using lumbar, so we canceled this concept. The ID Extreme is one concept I believe deserves a fair shot. And I mean, look at it. It could give Jeep, which revealed plans for 4 additional EV models, a run for its money. So since I put Jeep in the list and he mentioned it, let's go there now. Timothy says, greetings from San Diego. Hello. All right. Jeep says it will launch 4 all-electric SUVs by 2025, including the Wagoneer and Wrangler EVs. And I say Jeep has teased us with EVs before, so I'm not going to hold my breath. Although the hybrid Jeep is doing quite well around here. The plug-in hybrid Wrangler. Yeah, EAP I don't think is going to increase at the same time as the FSC pricing. But I do see it going up or getting canceled again. And then if it cancels again and it comes back, it's definitely going to come back at higher prices like it's done the last couple of times. But what I think happens is EAP will go up when they raise the monthly price of FSD. So it could be a while. But I think that they may also look at it and say, hey, there's a shortcut, and just close the loophole for people being able to step into FSD for cheaper. We'll see. All right, so Jeep is transforming the brand for new age of drivers, built on 4 values: freedom, adventure, authenticity, and passion, or at least the ones that they plan on carrying into electrification. That looks cool. Keep it up. Electrify all the things. What EV models are available from Jeep? The Jeep Wagoneer S EV, Recon EV, Avenger, and Wrangler 4xe. So that's the one that's doing well right now, is the 4xe. They're transforming the legendary 4x4 technology into the electric age with the 4xe. See, the thing I think an EV is more suited for this off-roading adventure, assuming that you're not going to go swimming with it. And even if you go swimming with it, if it's sealed correctly, because now you don't have like the idling engine just kind of just making it go forward. You can have ultimate control with your foot over what's going on when you're rock crawling and whatever off-road adventures you get into. You're not scaring the wildlife, so that once you climb up that mountain, you can now enjoy the birds and the fish and whatever else. I agree, Anders. Don't forget to click that like button. Thank you very much. So the Jeep Recon will be the first all-electric models launching in North America, with production expected in 2024. Let's see. Jeep designed the Recon to carry the legacy of the ever-popular Wrangler, with everything in the 4x4 models except zero emissions. Furthermore, it'll include off-road features like Jeep Select Train management, aggressive off-road tires and tow hooks, removable doors and windows for open-air freedom, and travel guides for off-roading. That's kind of cool. But we've seen this before from Jeep. They've talked a big game. Put them out, and then we'll see. Oh, that's pretty. The Avenger EV. There we go. So DJ Harris says, thinking of updating my computer to V3 and then just subscribing when needed. That is a very logical approach. I like it. Can save you money in the long run, or at the very least, only use it while you're on road trips, and then when the final package comes out, or at least when you can get in without the safety score nonsense, then decide what you want to do about it. It makes sense to me. What do I think V4 will be like? I think that V4 will probably be Cybertruck only, or start with the Cybertruck and then all the new cars that are built at that same time. I'm thinking they're going to say that it's not required for FSD, so they're not going to give it to us for free. I'm hoping that they allow us to upgrade to it, and I'm hoping that they don't make it 16 volt only, so that it can only go on the lithium cars. And by lithium cars, I mean the cars that come with lithium starter batteries from the factory, because mine's a lithium car in the sense that it's got a 12-volt lithium battery in it, but that would not be what Tesla's thinking of. So I think that they will come, and then just for them to save money, they're going to say that, yeah, you don't need it, and then whatever their arguments they say, this connotates these features of FSD. You've got them. Time to buy a new car. They're really big on the buy a new car part. Lately, they don't want to do the retrofits, but so I see at some point the quad motor Model S coming out with this um, version 4 system. Model Y and Model 3 obviously will get it too. There is no quad motor Model S right now, so don't hold your breath. That's how I think it's going to roll out, and I think that it'll be just faster and smoother and more capable. But I don't think that it'll be, at least initially, anything different than the version 3. Kind of like how AP 2.0 and AP 2.5 were just a couple of camera wires, is what they described it as, but there were actually differences. And then I think that after it comes out, it'll probably be a year or 2 years before we start to see any differences. And in fact, if they do what they've always done, is hardware 4 will be less capable than hardware 3 for at least 6 months to 24 months. What I think. All right, so let's do this one. Speaking of new stuff, Yamaha updates its adorable little Vino electric scooters, boosting its tiny range. The Roadster, I think the Roadster's coming. They say they're doing the semi truck this year. Pepsi is swearing they're going to get their trucks this year. They've got a little over 2 months for that to happen. Cybertruck, he's told us by June, so I think that the Roadster might be at the end of the year if they do it at all this year. But it could be. See, I'm already rolled into 23. I think it'll be the year after. I think it might be 24 before we start to see anything going on with the Roadster. Just because getting Cybertruck into production and then getting it ramped is going to take a lot of engineering time. It's going to take a lot of Elon distraction. It's going to distract training and service, and I just don't see between launching the semi and the Cybertruck. I don't see them having time to launch the Roadster before 24. I'd love to be wrong, but that's how I see it. So the Yamaha Vino, 580 watt continuous motor, up to 27 miles an hour. The 500 watt hour battery gave them a range of 18 miles an hour in slow mode. A second battery option doubled the range, but now let's see what they've done. They've increased the battery capacity in each pack by 17%, making it 585 watt hours instead of 500. And that increased the battery capacity. Yamaha promises a whopping range increases of 29 kilometers to 32 kilometers. That's 20 miles, or 40 if you put 2 batteries in it. The motor is now rated for 1200 watts, 1.2 kilowatts. You won't be leaving any rubber snakes in the ground for those 10-inch tires. That is true. Let's see, it's 150 pounds or 68 kilograms, and it's not meant for high performance. No stuff. It didn't look like high performance. I think this would be a fine little city scooter. The 2023 model also gets a pair of new colorways. Yellow and white was the retro theme, and sky blue and white are now available. Well, there we go. That one. All right, so I've now picked my articles. Let's do. Yeah. Speaking of people copying Tesla, BMW confirms it will adopt Tesla's 4680 cell format, pledging billions of dollars for 6 global battery factories. Elon says we're going to need hundreds of gigafactories. Step one. They built 4 or 5 of them of their own, and now everybody else is building them too. BMW has publicly stated its future success as a competitive EV market relies on heavily on powerful, innovative, and sustainably produced battery cells. So hopefully they're not just adopting the size of the can, but also are adopting some of the other innovations that we saw at Battery Day. Oh, speaking of Battery Day, 8 days. We've got AI Day. AI Day 2. Yes. All right, so BMW is planning to adopt the 4680s. Tesla's been manufacturing them at Gigafactory Texas, as well as Cato Road. Let's see. Over a week into the month, and BMW's confirmed it will out the 46 millimeter diameter cells in its next EV platform, but with a twist. Furthermore, we've learned the automakers throwing down double-digit billions to battery manufacturers to erect gigafactories in Europe, China, and the USMCA free trade zones, US, Mexico, and Canada. So this is important because BMW wants to qualify for the tax credit. So they have to make sure that these factories also end up in the free trade zones. They've recruited Cattle and EW and Eve for 4680 production. 6th generation lithium-ion cells. So they've gone from pouches to 4680s. That is quite a jump. All right. So the newly developed 6th generation of our lithium-ion cells will bring a huge leap in technology that will increase energy density by more than 20%, improve charging speed by up to 30%, and enhance range by up to 30%. We are also reducing CO2 emissions from cell production by 60%, up to 60%. These are big steps for sustainability and customer benefits. And he says, did you catch that he mentioned lithium-ion cells? Why, what? They've always been used lithium-ion cells in BMWs. Previously, well, in the modern BMWs, I should say. Whether BMW intended to implement lithium-ion phosphate chemistry in the 46 millimeter cells would enable less expensive BMW EVs. Okay, but are lithium-ion not lithium-ion cells? They still are. But he has a point. They would probably say LFP or LiFePO4 or something like that if they meant iron cells. Additionally, critical raw materials like cobalt and nickel can be avoided entirely in the cathode material, offering more sustainability. What? No. Maybe. Yeah, you could do high nickel to get rid of cobalt, but get rid of nickel and cobalt will be hard unless you do LFP. But he didn't say iron. He said lithium-ion cells. Am I reading that wrong? BMW is committed to lithium-ion cylindrical cells. The automaker has stated the 6th gen battery will also be an option. We'll also have an option for LFP cathodes. There you go. For the first time. Furthermore, BMW says it's developing all solid-state batteries. We'll see. Toyota claims they've cracked it, but they haven't done it yet. And aims to reach series introduction by the end of the decade. Yeah, there you go. It's always 5 years away with solid-state batteries. Although the competitor to this battery pack here, Zendure, has come out with a what they call a semi-solid-state battery for their battery pack. We'll see what that means and how well it does. BMW has vowed to present a demonstrator EV with this technology well before 2025. And they hope we forget. While the cells will be 46 millimeters in diameter, they'll be available in 2 different heights. Not shared. It's not shared those heights, but expect one to be 80 millimeters, just like Tesla, joined by a second height option. So will they be half height or extended height? That's a good question. Each of the battery cell factories planned have a total annual capacity of up to 20 gigawatt hours. So they are gigafactories for sure. BMW states that it is already planning 2 additional battery cell factories in North America, but those partners have not yet been decided. If and when that does happen, these locally produced cells are a stepping stone to the future for BMW EVs to qualify for federal tax credits, as I stated earlier in my little commenty quip. BMW believes that 6th gen battery cells can be reduced by up to 50% based on current market assumptions. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Elon doesn't like pouch batteries. Numerous reasons, I should say. And while we're talking about batteries, let's go on over here to Giga Nevada. So they've got new leadership, and let's see. Chris Lister was the vice president of Gigafactory operations at Giga Nevada, but he left Tesla this summer. And now Hiroshi Sagor, director of engineering, is taking over his responsibilities, along with leading the Fremont factory. Really, he's going to do 2 jobs. Okay. He held a meeting in Gigafactory, Nevada, with employees this week to discuss the direction of the plant. CNBC, is that the American CNBC or the Canadian one? The American one. Obtained a recording of the meeting during which the leadership shared some rare data about Tesla's output at the factory. Question: relatively, do ICE lawnmowers send out more pollutants than ICE autos? Yes. Yes, they do. Not as bad as ICE leaf blowers and string trimmers, but yes, really bad. All around. There's some folks that did the numbers on both the 2-cycle and 4-cycle mowers and the backpacks and the string trimmers. They're nasty. So the leadership stated that the factory needs to maintain a steady output of 8,800 high voltage packs per week. Woo! So let's see. 8,800 times 50, because 2 weeks off. That's 4,400 cars from Giga Nevada. Just to feed Fremont factory with packs for vehicle production. So that's just Model Y and Model 3, because the packs for the S and X come from Japan. Get in in the dark, Robert. That's not safe unless you're like microwaving or ovening. If you're on the stove, that's not good. And if it's because of power outages, then that sucks. I wish they were better at keeping the power on all these different places. So Tesla's managed to significantly ramp up Megapack production at the factory. The automaker is reporting to produce 42 giant Megapacks per week compared to 34 last quarter. That's a good increase, and that would explain some of the Megapacks sitting outside of the Gigafactory. They also confirmed that it produced 37,600 Powerwalls in the second quarter, but is now capable of producing 6,500 Powerwalls per week, which should put Tesla's quarterly output over 70,000 Powerwalls. They're just a car company, huh? They talked about Fremont, which needs to be seen as a client by the Gigafactory Nevada. Oh, interesting. I wonder if the Texas battery plant sees the rest of the plant as a client. The company confirmed that Tesla now has a production rate of 12,000 cars per week at the factory, and is in the process of ramping up that to 14,000 cars per week. Wait, cars versus packs. 8,800 a week. Okay, so. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that and I was thinking that they were building cars at Nevada already, and I was like, that doesn't add up. But no. Fremont has a capacity of 12 to 14,000 cars per week. These are all impressive numbers. Giga Nevada is obviously critical to Tesla's success of nearly 300,000 drivetrains per quarter. 42 megapacks per week is really good, not accounting for the new mega factory in California. Yes, it's all true. 6,500 Powerwalls per week is massive, and we might see Tesla expand the ability to purchase the Powerwall, as Musk hinted at earlier this week. And he's referring to a tweet here, so we'll copy this link. The two combined together should set Tesla up for massive deployment of solar and energy storage products for 2023. Let's take a look here. I love having numbers. Pretty much doing 1,200 vehicles per week, expanded 14. That's 12 times 50 is 600,000 vehicles per week from Fremont. Oh my goodness, good point. Expanding to 700 vehicles per year. 700,000 vehicles per year. Shanghai is at 77 per month, without 1 week of Model 3 production that month. Estimated at 1 million per year. That's 1.7 million vehicles per year, without counting anything from Giga Berlin and Giga Texas. There you go, David. 2.2, baby. 2.2 million cars per year. That's David's prediction for where they'll be. Using a Works Touch frying stack. Okay, so that's not so bad. Drive production will need to increase significantly with Cybertruck and Semi production around the corner. It's assuming that Cybertruck and Semi also use Model 3 motors like the new Plaid cars do. They probably will. Do we know that those drive units are planned to come from Nevada, or are they going to produce them in Austin? That was also what I was thinking while reading that. Right now they're coming from Nevada, but that's why they said most of them go to Fremont. Austin is huge, and there's a lot more to build. Odd thing is there's no mention of how many semis they built in a warehouse in the same industrial area where Giga Nevada is. Probably because it wasn't part of amping the troops up. I wonder how the powertrains are getting into the other Gigafactories. Last week we found out that the Model Ys are being transported from Gigafactory Texas 25 miles to a railroad yard outside of Hato. And now we know that this. Now that we know this, it would make sense that Tesla is also shipping assemblies by rail from plant to plant. Why not? Giga Nevada is holding its own. Let's go. Yes, absolutely. You've DM'd me a pic of cookie dinner by touch. Okay, I'll take a look at that. All right, so let's look at this tweet. And if it's the one I think it is good news. Oh, it's a link to the article about the tweet. Of course. This is electric after all. So order Powerwall for blackout protection. And then let's just go to the tweet. It's not Elon. I wanted the tweet. Let's see how this comes out. Basically, somebody asked him if that means that they will be selling the Powerwalls by themselves again, and Elon said maybe. So he said, order Powerwall for battery for blackout protection. It's an absolute game changer. I love having 2 days of battery backup and not worrying about blackouts. It's awesome to be able to run, to be able to turn on the virtual power plant. Yes. Virtual power plant. Powerwall is preparing for a grid event. Okay, that's cool. Lots of people still don't realize that Tesla makes uninterruptible power supplies for your whole home, aka Powerwall. Brilliant, seamless performance. Thank you, Tesla and Elon. Less order without getting solar. I already have solar. Need Powerwalls now. Valid request. And then there was a similar one to this that Elon actually responded to. Maybe even this one. I hope Powerwall production really ramps up soon. It's a great product, lots of demand, but wait times are understandably long. Also great to see the virtual power plant program as getting used a lot in California under great stress right now. Elon, can Tesla allow customers to order Powerwall without needing a full solar system with it, or is supply just too low to allow that right now? This is the Elon response right here. For now, supply is too low, but ordering a Powerwall by itself should be possible by the end of the year. End of the year lines up exactly like with what we were seeing with the previous article about Nevada. Awesome, thank you. When will Powerwall shift to lithium iron phosphate? That's another good question. The blackout approaching. All right, so it had an answer, but I don't see the answer anymore. So let's move on to the next thing. Close that. All right, so let's go back to Ford again. Why not? The 2023 Mustang Mach-E is gaining hands-free lane changes with support. Hand-free lane changes support with Ford's Blue Cruise 1.2 update. Welcome to the club. Except that theirs is like truly hands-free because as long as they're looking ahead and the sensor's watching them, they don't have to touch the wheel. On select roads, of course. Blue Cruise 1.2 rolls out. 3 new features, including hands-free lane changes. So much flashing going on my screen here. Unlike other approaches such as GM Super Cruise, which uses red and green lighting, or Tesla's Autopilot, which requires the driver to keep their hands on the wheel, Blue Cruise communicates with drivers in different ways. Hopefully, better ways than they did when Sandy tried it, because he wasn't aware that he was off of the system. The instrument cluster transitions to communicate the features in hands-free mode through text and blue lighting cues, effective even for those with color blindness. I saw a video where these folks were trying to remove the seatbelt, and they didn't see or comprehend that the messages had gone off. So hopefully, Ford has made the messages more noticeable and explicit. Hey, look at Mikey. It's not music head. Eh. Totally musical. All right, so there it is. Starting with 2023, the upgrades include hands-free lane changes. Okay, I still like those turn signals. I see so many Mach-E's all over the country. It's really cool. In-lane repositioning. Ah, yeah. So mine does that. Like it moves away from trucks. Um, there you go. What was the third thing? Over the air maps. That wasn't the third thing, was it? So I guess the lightning will be getting it soon too, unless it already has it. There we go. Lane change assist, predictive speed assist. Okay, smoothly adjust the speed as drivers approach a sharp curve, because that we've had for a while too. And in lane repositioning, like I said, is where the car avoids like large trucks and such. That is cool. I mean, it's always good to have, and that's very natural the way that all three of these things go. So, let's see what the comments say. It's gross that Tesla does not include auto lane change with basic autopilot. Yes, but they can charge you $15,000 for it. Hopefully, competition will force Tesla to activate more and more features into its free autopilot. Yeah, I agree. It's the main reason I bought EAP 2 years ago. Blue Cruise option is not free. Good point. Tesla $6,000 for enhanced autopilot includes auto lane change. Blue Cruise was $3,200 on the base trim Mach-E last I checked, included in the price for some higher trims of Mach-E and F-150 electric. Okay. Fun times. Yes, Dan. It sounds exactly like they're Ape and Autopilot. All right, let's see what is next here. All right, I'm still gonna try to avoid that source for now. Let me go to the notes and see if I can't get around it. It's back here. Click on this. Yes. Now how do I want to copy the link. I want this. Work? Yes, it worked. All right, so Motor Authority is reporting that that GM is willing to buy out U.S. Buick dealers in their push to go electric. We'll see how this goes. They did this before with Cadillac. They closed a bunch of dealerships that didn't want to play ball. So they're going to offer buyouts to Buick dealers who don't want to make investments related to the brand's all-electric transition. The head of Buick said in an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Friday. All of Buick's roughly 2,000 dealerships will be given the opportunity to take a buyout. That would mean giving up the franchise and no longer selling Buicks. But most dealers also sell other GM brands. This is true. I like that new logo, the emblem. Not everyone necessarily wants to make that journey, depending on where they're located, the level of expenditure that transition will demand. It's a good way to get rid of the dead weight. That's a pretty concept. I like it. All right, so we got some recalls. This is the one that Eddie was talking about last week. Did I copy the right thing? I don't think I did. All right, so the Consumer Protection Safety Commission has Sunjoe cordless lawnmowers, 24 volt times 2 17 XLM or LM, and 24 X2 17 LM CT. The mower blade can detach unexpectedly, posing a laceration hazard. Their remedy is to repair it. So it's not necessarily that it's electric; it's that it's an electric lawnmower. And yes, this is serious. So if you have a Sunjoe mower and it matches one of these model numbers, uh, you should check and see if you are in the recall, dated September 1. There are about 2,600 units. In addition, 350 of them in Canada. The blade can come off and cut you. Not a good thing. Thank you, Eddie. All right, and then I've got a Reddit post. The U.S. crosses the electric car tipping point for mass adoption. That's coming from Bloomberg. We talked about it on the Tesla Life and what drives us. It's a good thing. So once you hit that 5%, we've seen that the other countries that have done this, they have an explosion of sales right after they hit this point. So there's no going back on this. You can't put the EV genie back in the bottle unless you get a bunch of really corrupt politicians. Good news. All right, and then we had talked about the Model Y earning the highest safety score, the highest safety score. Let's see, I've got another. All right, that was the Buick. Two more. I guess. Uh, I don't know why this source, but whatever. This one's coming from CNN, but they're not the only people who talked about it this week. Uh, GM has unveiled the 30,000 electric SUV that will be one of the cheapest EVs available. It's the Equinox. The Equinox is no longer boring or ugly. The second gen Equinox wasn't ugly per se. It fit the times. The first one I didn't like, and what can I say? Electrify all the things. So it's probably sharing a platform with the Bull making. So 30 grand does not include tax credits. They're pointing out that GM doesn't qualify right now, but I think by the time the car goes on sale, they will. So what's it matter? The average EV today has a base price of 47.5, so they'll be coming in significantly under the average. The 2022 model year mass market EVs, only the Leaf at 28.5 costs less and currently qualifies. Yeah, somehow the Leaf still qualifies for the 7,500. That's like the tortoise and the hare situation right there. They just kind of like stopped on the sales. There are a few other models in the low to mid 30,000 range as well, among them Chevy's Bolt and Bolt EUV. The current Bolt's 2023 model years. Why do you phrase it that way? The Bolt is cheaper than 30, isn't it? Anyway, Equinox is almost 3 inches wider than the gas model, and slightly shorter. Kind of cool. So it shares a name and a styling, but it doesn't share a platform. That's cool. The cheapest option will be called the Blazer 1LT. That's a different car. Unless they're calling the Equinox. I don't understand. Unlike the more expensive Blazer EV, the Equinox EV will be available with only all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. There will not be a rear-wheel drive option. Why do you? Is an Equinox 1LT perhaps? Be a little weird to call the base trim of the car another car. Equinox EV 1LT SUVs will be available with 30 miles and with all-wheel miles. All-wheel drive versions will get as much as 290 horsepower from 2 electric motors. It's rather sedate, but it works. All right, and one more from this source. Yes. This one's from Electric, but it gets the job done. Rivian and Mercedes-Benz are launching a joint venture to produce an electric van in Europe. I wonder how much it'll look like the Amazon van. The deal is still subject to regulatory clearances, but if it goes through, the two automakers will leverage an existing Mercedes-Benz site in Central and Eastern Europe to build an all-new electric-only production facility to produce the electric van in partnership. They wrote, the companies envisage a production-optimized vehicle designs for efficient manufacturing on common assembly lines. They will aim to produce 2 large vans, one based on van.ea, the Mercedes-Benz electric architecture, and the electric-only platform of Mercedes-Benz vans and other based on, this is a weird quote, on the second generation electric van of the Rivian Light van platform. Further options for increased synergies from the joint venture will also be explored. All right. So you guys in Europe will be able to buy your Rivian van. Nice. Now, why would Mercedes-Benz and Rivian partner on this? The answer is synergy. Working together, they'll be able to leverage operations synergies and substantially increase cost efficiency to make the vans more affordable for commercial customers, driven by total cost of ownership. RJ says Rivian was created to encourage the world's transition away from fossil fuels consumption by creating compelling products and services. We're delighted to be partnering with Mercedes-Benz on this project, and Mercedes-Benz is one of the world's best and respected automotive companies, and we believe that together we'll produce truly remarkable electric vans, which will not only benefit our customers but the planet. Now, with them building two platforms, I'm wondering if there'll be a split, if they'll share batteries, like, other than just like having one location and being able to group buy on raw cells. What's the deal here? Because if you're still building two platforms instead of one new one, or just using Rivians, hmm. And Mercedes-Benz as a pioneer in the field of locally emission-free transportation, Mercedes-Benz Vans has gained broad experience in producing and launching e-vans since 2010. Now we are accelerating the transition to a fully electric product portfolio from 2025 onwards. All vans based on our new architecture, the van.ea, will be electric only. I am delighted that as a part of this transition, we are joining forces with Rivian, a highly dynamic and inspiring partner with a strong technology position. We're sharing investments and technology because we also share the same strategic ambition, accelerating the electrification of the van market with sustainable and superior products for all our customers. Electrify all the things. No timeline, no clear timeline anyway. They'd like to build a new factory in the next few years. Rivian has sort of a similar deal with Ford to build an electric pickup truck in partnership with them, but the automaker rolled them back as Rivian was already quite busy bringing just its own vehicles to market. And then Ford decided it was all in on making its own e-transits and F-150s. Yes, this is true. Now Rivian's a bit more mature. It could be a good way for the US automaker to enter the European market. Yes, it could. Sounds like the electric van is going to be the commercial one, like it already produces with the US for Amazon, which makes sense. You focus on commercial and then you come in to the consumer space and you have less bumps in the road and more of your quality control and team communication is ironed out. I believe Rivian shouldn't diversify too much as of yet. It needs to ramp up speed of the R1T and R1S. That's what Elon said. Uh, get them profitable, and it's still far from that goal. But in this case, it seems a safe move for our first entry into Europe in the next few years. Yeah, I think focusing on commercial is, like I said, it's a safe way to get everything together, figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it, and then go from there. Let's see what the comments say about them. Hopefully this is an electric style sprint van that gets converted into a camper. Electric campers will be awesome. I agree. I hope they figure out a way to let you use power while camping and then still make it back home. Winnebago was talking about this on their Lightning e-motors Ford Transit. They have once you get down to like 20%, then all the house stuff shuts down, and making sure that you can make it to a charger. And as you approach 20%, it starts shedding systems. Like the AC will go out long before other stuff. Energy requirements to camp seem like they'd be tiny in comparison to energy requirements to drive. Absolutely, and I can attest to that with camp mode on Tesla. On our recent trip to South Dakota, we put it in camp mode and lost like 1% or 3, even in our car. Remember, this is the same car that we camped in before camp mode existed, where we burned 50% of the battery in freezing weather from a nice 90% supercharge down to 50%, and then we supercharged it back up before continuing around. And this was in Brasstown Bald in Georgia, so that was fun. That's another video that's sitting on the server back there that I need to work on. That one was hard because it has a lot of dash cam video, and as I talked about previously, the dash cam footage is the my dash cam, not the Tesla dash cam. although that's not any fun either. Neither dash cam is very fun to work with the footage on. And then I've got a bunch of 360 and drone footage. Thankfully, I was not monetized at the time I did that drone footage, so I'm not in violation of the FAA. But man, I couldn't do it today without getting my license. Yet another thing to add to my list of stuff to do. It's big enough for solar panels, not a problem. I would charge in remote areas. Yeah, yeah. I like the idea, but to get a vehicle shaped like a brick to travel over 200 miles, you need a big battery. I hope it's looks like the Rivian van. That would be fun. Staying below 50 gives me a big range boost with my blocky Kia Soul. Word to the wise, who needs to hurry on vacation? I project 3 miles per kilowatt hour at 50 on flat. If you don't want to gross out with water, etc. Perhaps. Moving on. We have here. All right, so this was Ford competing with Tesla, and then I don't know if we touched on this last week or not. That's a Model 3 and Y to go stockless with touch controls on the steering wheel. And I think we might have, because we were talking about this steering yoke, steering wheel and the buttons. Oh, that might have been on the Tesla Life. I don't know. But the Model 3 and Model Y, we're going to remove the left and right stalks, according to this guy. I think we talked about it. We talked about getting Nevada leadership change. Talked about the Equinox. Here we go. Here's the source I want to use instead of the other guys. So I can close that article. Yay. And paste and go. Oh no, it's a YouTube video. Pause, pause, pause. All right. Okay. Lee says yes, we did talk about the stocks. So sorry to waste your time on that. Let's talk about Tesla's considering lithium refining in Texas. Let's see. So here is a of Galaxy Resource Station cards halite concentrate at the Salar de Hombre Muerto or Dead Man's Salt Flat. An important switch from English to Spanish on me. I'm not already not good at Spanish pronunciation. An important source of lithium at around 4,000 meters above sea level, and on the border of the northern Argentine provinces of Catamarca and Salta, October 28th of 2012. Your vegan stack was good. Excellent. It's your boy Leo. Hey, how's it going? Hope all is well. Yes, absolutely. He's decided to chat. Excellent. So this is really cool because we are still going to need lithium for all of this, and I keep telling you guys it's a salt. So you mine it the same way you mine salt. You can get it from underground caverns. You can get it from evaporative pools, like this one right here on the side. So Tesla is known for making electric vehicles. However, the company is going deeper into the supply chain, supporting manufacturing. Another quote on how this article was going down. Some of the people said that Tesla gets into the money minting business, because remember that earlier Elon said that if you start a lithium business, you'll be minting money. So let's see. Tesla is considering a facility in Nueces County. They plan to ship the refined bulk lithium by truck and rail to its manufacturing sites. They claim its refining process is innovative and designed to consume less hazardous reagents and create usable byproducts compared to the conventional process. This is something that Elon talked about at Battery Day. They were going to use salts to extract salt rather than all this water. We'll see how it goes. And with it being dry, that you can especially right now where water is a tough commodity to come by in the Southwest. This makes sense. So construction may start as early as the last quarter of 22. It'll probably come along faster than we expect if this is a Tesla-owned facility. It will come online towards the end of 2024. However, Tesla can't have enough lithium. It will begin receiving lithium from Core Lithium this year. Another company in the EV supply chain interested is Cattle. It has won the rights to a lithium project in China. Meanwhile, Tesla is also considering a site in Louisiana. That's where we get a lot of our table salt from right now. Table salt and sea salt, right there in Louisiana. So we also get lithium there from now anyway. Robert says salt batteries. Yeah, all batteries are salt batteries, but you're talking about a specific kind, and that would be kind of cool to see that as well. No comments. I don't know why the Drive Tesla Canada articles get so few comments. They do get them though, just not today. All right, so we talked about the Cybertruck earlier that I saw on the back of that rollback with the cover. There was another angle to it. Tesla is testing a new side repeater cameras with wider field of view. So this cable going under the hood and this device above the repeater camera is a stereo camera that allows them to it's a known quantity, it's expensive, it's a calibration device for the new side repeater camera underneath it. So what they're showing is that there are 3 forward-facing cameras. We knew about 2 cameras on the B pillars and 2 cameras on the front fenders, referred to as side repeater cameras. These little dudes with the turn signals on them. I like the way he wrote this. These camera positions have led to countless discussions, crossed out, he wrote arguments about whether the setup will be enough to achieve full self-driving. One particular bone of contention is the field of view offered by those side repeater cameras. According to Tesla's graphics on the Autopilot page, the side repeaters have a viewing angle that goes towards the rear of the car. It's that angle backwards that leads some to believe the car has a blind spot, like when it cannot see around corners without having to creep too far into the intersection. So they kind of look like that on today's advertising. But they suggest that Tesla may be agreeing with the folks saying that there's too much of a blind spot. And in this clip we discussed where the car was looking its way around, several folks have suggested that perhaps this isn't a modeling, but perhaps these are new side repeater cameras. I was thinking that it was kind of an overlap between the B pillar, which they're pointing out it might not be the B pillar camera because they didn't draw all of this here. They just drew it kind of out that way. So they've got forward-looking side cameras, which are the B pillar cameras. That's why I thought they were kind of just showing what the car was paying attention to, but perhaps not. You've got wide, main, narrow, and forward cameras. And then you've got your repeater cameras. So Not a Tesla app says that this change is, they reached out to sources in Tesla who confirmed that Tesla is planning to make a switch for new side repeater cameras. So then the next question was, could I get them on my car today? And the answer is probably. If Tesla determines that these are needed to complete full self-driving as advertised, you will get them for free if you've already purchased the full self-driving package. You will probably have to pay for them if you are renting FSD. And another very likely possibility is Tesla will say, oh, these are good enough. You don't need them. They just improve the experience, and they will allow you to pay to upgrade to them. Now, if all they are is just a different viewing angle and not really a new resolution or not outside the resolution of what Hardware 3 computers can handle, then we should expect to be able to pay Tesla, I think it was $150 a camera. It doesn't cost them anywhere near that much. These are like smartphone cameras, but they've got some body trim on them, and you got to have labor to install them. So I think it was $150 to $200 a camera customer cost that we could change out the current cameras. Like if you have the old green ones and you wanted them to be in the full color like the new ones, I think that was what they were charging. And it'd be that same process. You pay and either do it yourself or get a technician to do it, and then you might have to recalibrate, might not. Then the car is able to use the new field of view because it knows what model number camera you've plugged into it when it boots up and asks it. Let's see, where were we? Based on what we were told, the cameras have already been installed on test vehicles and will be a part of Hardware 4. Yeah. We were also told should be talked about during Tesla's AI Day later this month. So in 8 days, we will hear more about these cameras, and hopefully we'll hear that they were a free upgrade included in our system because Tesla determined that this adds to the safety. Because uh, who wants for the minimal amount when you could have more? Let me check on this baby real quick. Be right back. So, more to go. Mommy is cooking, so I heard her making noise. Like I woke her out of a dream. She's like stunned. Hey, baby. You want to say hi to everybody? Look at that smile. Oh, you're not smiling anymore? Hello, Moto. Yeah. Big gummy smile. All right. Let's see. According to Wikipedia, stereo camera is a type of camera with 2 or more lenses to simulate image sensor or film, allowing it to simulate human binocular vision and the ability to capture 3-dimensional images. So it's the 3-dimensional images part that was important here. And that's referring to these side repeater cameras here. She started to roll, and she was on the couch. So, yeah, I'm talking about you. This is like sheer, like just disgust. She's like, "You talking about me? Yeah, I'm talking about you." Okay, I'll allow it. So anyway, that's another view on these cameras, and let's wait for AI Day before we do any more speculation on these cameras. If they're needed, if they're free, if they're paid, whatever the case is. I think 8 days is not a huge contention for us to worry about determining when this thing is ready. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, another one. This one, I think it's a local club. It is. All right, so this is coming from Tesla North. And Tesla now sends 12-volt battery replacement alerts to your app. 12-volt battery must be replaced soon. Schedule service. I like that. So this is coming from Zach at Black Model 3. Oh wow, you're making cake for real, huh? Whoa! Where's your towel, baby? So she started eating real food, but she still throws up sometimes. I know it's not soft, it's a paper. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you can't keep this one as paper. You'll try to eat it. I know you'll try to eat it because you try to eat everything. I find myself without a towel over here. Really hope they push notifications when you have low tire pressure and other important alerts. That would be awesome, especially now that the app is taking note of your last tire pressure when you park the car. I guess it'd be live while you're driving down the road as well. But that's good news. Hey, Moto. Robert says hello. See? He says hello. Yeah. Look at the smile, Robert. Yeah. Okay. Next up is I close that Facebook link. So Freethink, courtesy of our friend Linda, had an article about some of the common myths about EVs. So I'll include that in the chat here for you. Yeah. I'm going to send that. And then we'll just kind of go through them. We're not going to like read the article. So one of the myths about EVs is that electric cars will always be more expensive. we just saw that the Equinox is coming out for 30. You still got the Leaf and the Bolt and all the used EVs. So yeah, the electric cars will overload the grid. No, no, no. Not any more than ACs ever did. And you saw how quickly we spread AC throughout the world, especially in North America. So we can do the same for EVs. EV batteries don't last. Well, ask all the people with 300,000 mile Teslas. Yeah, she will, Robert. She's already rolling and kind of not really scooting, but like she can change her position. The range of electric cars is still too small. I mean, is 400 miles not enough for you people? Charging will always be too slow. The 350-volt cars can be done in like 15 minutes for a significant portion. Then you've got the Model S Plaid can recover 200 miles in 15 minutes. So I say Plaid or long range, those new ones can recover 200 miles in 15 minutes. So no, you won't be able to recycle EV batteries. Yeah, if you don't like saving money, like what company doesn't like saving money? And we were talking about at the beginning of the show with the recycling, how you could use the redwood technique or any other like even manual mechanical recycling techniques to get those minerals back out of the battery. It is going to save you money no matter how you do it, unless you do it like by fingers, like with tweezers or something, over getting it out of the rocks. Electric vehicles are worse for the environment. Yeah, that's what they want you to think. There we go. So I've included the article, and you can be sure to share that with people who are naysaying in your space while you're talking and just going about your business. All right, so we talked about the lithium plant in so not just the lithium plant, we've also got one other thing about that. So not just the lithium plant, but a lithium plant and Neuralink campus in Texas. So according to regulatory filings found by Austin Business Journal, Tesla's expansions are continuing. 2 separate projects. A Neuralink campus in Travis County, Texas for Neuralink Corp. It'd be about 20 minutes away from the current Neuralink HQ located at Tesla Giga's Austin. Really? Neuralink is in Austin? That's cool. But yeah, it makes sense for this company who doesn't make cars to be somewhat separated from the rest of the Musk Inc., given that they do something different. Second and more exciting plant is a lithium battery plant for Tesla near Corpus Christi, Texas. So this is different, actually, than the other lithium that we talked about just a few minutes ago. This plant would be a battery-grade lithium hydroxide refining facility and be the first of its kind in North America. The plant would support processing, refining, and manufacturing of the battery materials to support battery production for Tesla. So this could be the same one, but with a place listed. The other one seemed to imply that it'd be in South America, where that picture was taken. Tesla's not committing to the site in Texas yet, but is considering another location in Louisiana at the same time. Yeah, so it might be the same thing they were talking about, because they were also considering Louisiana there too. As per the application, Tesla noted in the case of the investment on this proposed project in Texas, the decision will be based on a number of commercial and financial considerations, including the ability to obtain relief regarding local property taxes. Tesla's pretty big at getting them some tax breaks, aren't they? They're seeking a taxable value limitation with Robstown Independent School District for the lithium. You think you wouldn't mention the school unless the school is how they do their property taxes in Texas. If approved, Tesla would save an estimated $16.2 million per year on taxes over 10 years. And then theory that they always give is that the employees that move in will be paying said taxes. So that's why it's good for the state, they say. Again, no comments. And all right, we talked about the Model Y on Euro NCAP. We talked about the massive 4 Superchargers. Talked about GM going direct consumers. Oh yeah, that one is from this list. I went down and specifically found it. We talked about Jeep's new EV strategy and Mercedes and Rivian. So let me check something real quick. So Dan with his late breakfast. Ford for the Builders commercial, throwing low-key shade at Elon. If it's not full of music, we'll take a look. Apparently I did it wrong because it doesn't say paste and go. There we go. Ah, lunchtime, baby. Where's your napkin?
Right now, it could seem like the only people who matter are the loudest. Those who want to tear things down and then fly away on their own personal spaceships when things get hard. But we've got 182,000 people, and they're building. Big things. New things. Things that will change the way we do things. Assembling more vehicles in the U.S. than any other automaker things. $50 billion committed to electric vehicle things. And you might not know their names, but these people get up every day working together to move us all forward.
That's all ended music. But anyway, so I didn't know that Amazon was building vans. Or was building EVs, I should say. They've contracted some vans. They are the only ones whose CEO has gone off on the rockets. Oh, Elon Musk hasn't ridden a rocket yet. But anyway, thanks for the forward ad, Dan. Yeah, they are trying to do shade, but they're doing it wrong. And yeah, we talked about stock removals. Now let's see, Robert. Let's grab some of your articles. Where was I? All right, you talked about the robot car. You talked about Zero Chocolate, the Formula E racing cars, Taiwanese battery manufacturer because there's a UK location. That's cool. Urban mobility, the Cheetah Superbike. Let's take a look at that. You don't have to move everything on the desk, baby. She's got my headphone cord in her toes. The King E Cheetah Superbike delivers a whopping 87 miles per hour and 80-mile range. Neato. This looks like the one that they showed off. We showed you in the beginning of the Ukraine conflict. Oh wow, you're making more cake, huh? I say that because the consistency of her regurgitation looks like cake batter, but because she had carrots this morning, it's also orange. You can't eat my hand, child. I need that. She smiles at that. Okay. Let's see what else you got there, Robert. The driver saves motorist having a seizure on the motorway. That's cool. Wales news. Sewage discharge to sea around Wales. That's not good. Cyclist trying to reclaim stolen bike as assaulted thief. A morphing car. Let's see more about that. That's the one I think it is. Oh, you think that's funny? All right, so the Land Rover Defender 130 morphs into the right kind of pickup truck, a dune patcher. Let's see photos. This would be a fun EV. Oh yeah. All right, that's a cool looking Land Rover. And let's see. It's like a Neuralink article. Let's see what they say here. It's coming from the Times. And fine. Oh, I won't subscribe. Elon Musk loses the race to sew brain implants into the brain. A severely paralyzed man in New York underwent a relatively simple surgery this summer and woke up with a superpower. He is now able to control his mobile phone with his mind, send text messages with his thoughts, thanks to a tiny stent-like implant in his brain that interprets brainwaves and translates them into mouse clicks, swipes, and emails. That is cool. That's all we know, because I'm not giving them £1 a month for 12 months. I can't subscribe to every newspaper out there. But that's where, as Patrick was saying, that X.com could come in. I could just subscribe to X.com and they could pay them for one article. And Neuralink is supposed to be entering human trials this year, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's always good to have competition. Loudest thunder I've ever heard. Co-op bought a SDA. Something on Facebook Watch. The V8 engine that runs on hydrogen. Yeah, because a lot of the first BMW hydrogen cars were actually hydrogen combustion, not hydrogen fuel cell. That was interesting. Self-driving cars have stalled. YouTube link. Cargo bike. Electric cargo bike. Let's take a look at that. I wonder if this is the one we discussed earlier, if it's like an update or if it's a competitor to that one. The Super 73 C1X wins Core 77 award. That's not the same one. Cool, but not the same thing. Right. Catch you on the flip side. Thank you to our channel members and patrons. And we'll see you next week. Electrify all the things, baby.